They're doing one of those DDI interchanges, divergent, diamond divergent interchanges.
Oh, my favorite
where
kind.
you sort of switch over. You feel like you're on the wrong side of the road. You're not.
No.
It's actually a very cool way of doing it. There's one down at Route 19 and 70 down in Washington County. So,
well, it's construction season. The cones are out in full force.
That's right.
And God love those construction workers.
That's jobs.
And the summer heat. That's a job. This is fun, what we're doing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's when you see those cones, that means people are working. So
that's
take it
right.
that way.
Thank you, government.
That's right. So coming up on the Afternoon Drive Show, as Nick has teased, we're going to check in with John Delano. John, of course, is now retired, longtime money and politics editor at KDKA TV 2. And, of course, before that, he was at one point chief of staff to Congressman Doug Walgren. That's when I first met him. My office was right below his in the Federal Building in downtown Pittsburgh back in the day. We were on the 20th floor. They had the 21st.
Oh, yeah, Clemente. Yeah.
Exactly. So he's going to join us. Obviously, he did not cover the event today with President Trump being at Carnegie Mellon University with U.S. Senator Dave McCormick. But he's going to talk about what it's like to cover such an event, which when I asked him if he was, I said, I'd like to talk to you about that on the air today, John. He said, well, let me tell you, one word to sum it up, nightmare.
Oh, I'm sure.
One, especially if the president's running late or what have you.
Secret
Linda
Service,
Kenyon.
They're all talking like this.
Oh, yeah,
their
the
wrist.
Secret Service are talking into their wrists and stuff. Linda Kenyon, who's a regular guest of ours from CBS, actually covered the president today, and we were hoping to talk to her, but I guess the president was running late, so as a result, they put the kibosh on that.
What are you going to do? I think he was trying to, I don't know, was he in a meeting?
But,
he was probably scolding Elon Musk in a series of tweets.
Sort of amazing revenues, frankly. That will be coming into the state as a result of the announcements today at that visit by President Trump. If you take a look at some of these numbers, they really are amazing. And $92 billion worth of investment in southwestern Pennsylvania. That's a billion with a B, by the way. Don't miss that one. But we're talking here about a company called Anthropic, do I have that right? Committed $1 million over 3 years. That's $1 million. Blackstone announced a $25 billion investment in a data center and energy infrastructure development in northeastern PA. Brookfield announced a 20-year, $3 billion deal with Google to repower 2 hydropower facilities. Capital Power announced $3 billion over 10 years. Constellation Energy will create 3,000 jobs with a $2.4 billion investment. CoreWeave announced a $6 billion investment in developing a 300-megawatt data center in Lancaster. Capital Energy, a $5 billion plan to develop a data center in York. I mean, this list goes on and on and on. These are massive investments in Pennsylvania. All that coming at the announcement today of the inaugural Energy and Innovation Summit. Again, it was hosted by State U.S. Senator Dave McCormick. President Trump was in town for that today at Carnegie Mellon University. There were some protests ahead of time. I guess there was a petition that circulated on campus telling the university not to have him there. Of course, they're just hosting the event. And over the years, there's been many U.S. senators, also U.S. senators, but U.S. presidents who have visited CMU for various events over the years, both sides of the aisle for that matter. So obviously we're going to be talking about those and other topics today. We're going to check in this topic of course, artificial intelligence and the massive energy needed to do it in areas, but just the overall impact of artificial intelligence. We thought who better to talk to about that than technology analyst Larry Magid, who will be joining us from the West Coast. And he's going to talk about his recent heavy use of AI during a trip to Norway.
Oh, Norway. Have you ever been?
Never. Not been to Norway.
Let's get to Norway. I'm sure there's less of a chance of sunburn in Norway than Florida.
Dick Jewell, who was a guest of ours last week when we were supposed to talk politics, we spent most of the time, almost all the time, talking about the gaming industry in Pennsylvania. I got several emails, text messages saying, stick to the topic, Doug.
Wow.
So we're going to have him back on today.
Don't let the people, I'd say listeners, but they're not listeners. They're criticizers. Let the host his own show.
They can criticize all they want.
I know,
They're
but
the listeners.
If they knew better, they'd be on the radio, not you.
Oh, wow.
No, but Dick Jewell, is he the one with the security guard from the Olympics? Snowgrass. Was that him?
No, that's a
different
somebody
thing.
else.
Okay.
Snowgrass, that person's soul,
Yes,
by the
the
way.
poor guy.
The poor guy was accused of bombing the Olympics.
Yeah, and nothing to do with it.
Completely false. Yeah,
No, he saved people's lives, did he not?
Yes, he did. That was despicable.
And Clint Eastwood made a movie about him, and that was great. He got recognition. So.
And he got a lot of money in
Yes,
lawsuits,
he did.
as he should have,
Yes.
from the despicable reporting about him.
Yeah.
So Dick Joel's going to join us. He was at the event today at Carnegie Mellon University. We're going to talk to him, former president of Grove City College, also a member of the gaming board, also local attorney, businessman extraordinaire. We'll get his take on that event today out at Carnegie Mellon. When you go to those events, the one thing you have to deal with all the time is getting there early. I think the doors opened at what was it? 1:30. Supposed to start at 2. I guess it was delayed. Presidents get delayed.
Yeah, they seem to be busy.
Yeah, it's like royalty. You know, the Queen is never late. Everybody else is just early.
Early, exactly.
That's a
God
line.
save the Queen.
That's a line out of a movie. A Disney. Was that a Disney movie? I guess it was. Princess Diaries.
Oh yes, Rob Reiner, right? Well, that's
No.
Princess Bride. He made Princess Bride. Same thing, right? I don't know. I've never seen either of them.
Rob Reiner, of course. Meathead.
Meathead, yes.
He's one guy who finally, not finally, but he always accepted the fact that he was forever going to be Mike Stivic from All in the Family.
Sure.
A lot of people try to get away from it. Kramer, of course, played by Michael Richards, still gets upset apparently if somebody calls him Kramer.
Yeah,
Like,
he may now be known for racist outbursts at nightclubs now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As I was saying, Rob Reiner, who of course played Mike Stivic, Meathead on All in the Family, said in an interview one time, he said he could win the Nobel Prize, and the headline of the New York Times would be "Meathead wins Nobel."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you know what? I guess people still remember that character in that show. It's been so
it's
long.
on all the time.
Yes, that's true.
It's on in repeats.
But you know, my generation, looks down on anything that happened before they were born. I don't, but yeah.
Yeah, you have a remarkable understanding of pop culture for somebody who's only like in his early 40s, late 20s.
I feel like 40s.
What are you now? I don't even know.
29.
29.
The big 3-0s in December.
So when
you come to my party, I didn't come to yours.
So you were 18 when I started here.
Is that right? 11 years you've been here. 11 glorious years.
It was 11 years.
I've grown up with you.
January. That's right.
And you've grown old with me.
I think so.
No.
Yeah. And I have the same amount of hair when I started. You have less.
That's true. Yes, the hairline.
I didn't have a whole lot when I started.
That's true.
So
there's that. But yeah.
Yeah, people don't believe me when I tell them in college I had hair almost halfway down my back.
Oh my
I think it
gosh.
just fell off the back of my head.
What, were you in a rock band? Have you went?
No, it was a groovy thing to do.
Of course, it was groovy. Did you ever have a mullet or an afro?
No,
or
I never
anything
went
like
the
that?
mullet thing.
No, afro. That was
No, I couldn't do it. My hair wasn't like that.
because back in the day,
my nephew could get a real good afro.
Oh.
Can you say afro?
I don't know. I was going to say
afro.
I was going to say back in the day, a lot of white guys had them. I don't know. Can I say that?
So my nephew had one. And
Oh, good.
He was about 6'1" in junior high playing basketball. So he would tease out his hair that made him look even taller.
Yeah. That's a sore spot.
We all thought he was going to be I think he's 6'4".
Don't talk about men taller than us. That
but
nothing makes me more upset than that.
That's not.
If only I could be 6'4".
Oh, I just got a text from Nick Barczyk here. I'm going to start the show. Oh, good.
You're just getting that. I sent that about 15 minutes ago.
I just read it now. Yeah,
oh, I
sorry.
see. I'm going to yeah. In case
I was speeding. I was going to call in and do it, but I was just about here, and I'm like, let Nick have some fun.
Yes, let me have some fun. Let me interview Lanny and Bob Grove again.
You did that last
You go to
week.
dinner with Rick Seaback.
It went very well, I heard.
Yeah,
and,
thank you.
Listen, Rick Seaback gets a lot of attention, and my gosh, the guy's been all over media for years, nationally known. Mm-hmm. And as Rick and I are driving away from the studio here, we're going up to the summit to have dinner that night. All of a sudden, you mentioned both our names, and Rick said, "Hey, Nick mentioned our name on the radio."
That's great. I have a great story. I'll tell you off the air, then maybe we'll tell it on the air.
Oh, we'll decide that.
About Rick in Florida.
Because right now we're 15 seconds away
Yes.
from that CBS update. When we come back, as I mentioned, John Delano, retired Money and Politics editor from KDK TV2, is going to talk about what it's like to cover a presidential event. And he's covered a lot of them over the years, including individual interviews outside of those events with presidents of the United States. So stick around for that. But first, news from New York.
CBS News Brief. We're paying more for a lot of things. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger has the latest inflation numbers.
We see prices up by 2.7% in June from a year ago. That is larger than the May number, which was 2.4%.
President Trump's tariffs have pushed up the cost of groceries, furniture, and appliances. The president was in Pittsburgh this afternoon, where companies are pledging $90 billion in technology and energy investments to help expand artificial intelligence in Pennsylvania.
This is a really triumphant day for the people of the Commonwealth and for the United States of America. We're doing things that nobody ever thought possible.
One of the two wildfires tearing through the Grand Canyon has destroyed the century-old Grand Canyon Lodge. Thomas Sulpizio is the president of the Grand Canyon Historical Society.
Now we know it'll probably impact the park for years to come.
Both fires are still 0% contained. There have been no injuries. CBS News Brief. I'm Michael Wallace.
Hey love, I'm Tiffany from Tiffany Smith Fine Arts Studios, serving up confidence boosts in Periopolis in our brand new luxury studio in downtown Pittsburgh. I'm not just here to take your picture, I'm here to help you remember who you are. Whether it's been a wild few years or you're just feeling a little blah, this is your permission slip to feel powerful again. You'll laugh, maybe cry, and leave feeling like that girl. Book your experience at TiffanySmithFineArtStudios.com because you deserve to be seen.
Saving money when you buy a new home isn't a fantasy. It's reality at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. With up to $5,000 in instant savings during the Sign and Save sales event, it's the perfect place to find the home you've always wanted. So don't let your dream home stay a fantasy. Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon today at 4500 PA 51. Terms and conditions for the Sign and Save sales event at manufacturedhomeoffers.com. Available only at participating Clayton Homes family of brands retailers through August 31st. Amount of savings may be limited. Ask for details. May not be available with certain financing. Lender restrictions apply.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottdale at 724-220-5281. If you are looking for a trusted local law firm with a strong commitment to their clients, look no further than Zebley Law Offices. Attorney Zebley has been practicing law in Fayette County for more than 4 decades. Although specializing in bankruptcy, Zebley also handles real estate matters, civil suits, collections, wills, powers of attorney, and more. If you need legal help, go with a name you recognize and trust. Call Zebley Law Offices today at 724-439-9200.
CareerLink is your one-stop resource for employment and training-related services. Visit CareerLink and you'll have access to many programs and agencies for assistance with economic, educational, and job-related needs. For more information on all the programs available to you, contact CareerLink at 724-434-JOBS. That's 724-434-JOBS.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Drive Show on a beautiful Tuesday out there, folks. We are with you till 8 o'clock tonight. No Pirate Baseball. It is, of course, the All-Star break. Paul Skeens, first pitcher in Major League Baseball history to start for the All-Star game. The first 2 seasons he's in the league.
That's amazing.
So the question is...
Enjoy the next year and a half with him, Pirates fans.
So the question is, can he win the Cy Young with a losing record?
Yeah, he's 4-8. And to contrast the Skeens with the other great pitchers in baseball, the guy starting for the American League, he's 10-3 because he's on a good team.
Right, 4-8, and so that's 12 games. But I think he started like 20 games.
Yeah,
or 20.
yeah, the bullpen has blown most of his starts, and the offense gets him a run a game when he pitches.
Right.
So,
It's amazing.
His ERA, though, is 2, which is really hard to do. That's very low. It's like Bob Gibson in '68, who had one of the best seasons in baseball history.
So he'll be starting. What time's the game start? I don't even know. 8 o'clock.
Yeah, there's some radio station you can listen to it on the way home.
Yeah.
Not this one, unfortunately. But we couldn't get the rights.
Yeah, don't get the rights to it.
We tried. We sent Doug out to do it, and he just...
And I blew it.
You blew the deal.
We should have asked our next guest.
You blew the account.
He's got connections everywhere.
Oh,
for heaven's
sure.
sakes. Joining us a little early, and we apologize. I mixed up the time. I was going to blame Nick, our producer, because that's what the talent does. We blame the producer.
Yeah, that's what insecure hosts do. They blame
Exactly.
their producer.
We blame the producers. Joining us on the WMBS Newsmakers line, now retired Money and Politics editor, longtime political analyst. Of course, John Delano from KDK TV2, formerly with the radio station, or the TV station, rather. And today, John, you got to relax. You didn't have to cover a presidential visit.
Yeah, Doug, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I don't miss it at all, to be absolutely honest.
When I asked you earlier if you would be on the show with me, I said I wanted to talk to you about what it's like to cover one of these visits, and you interrupted me and used one word to describe it: nightmare. It is a nightmare at times to cover a presidential visit, is it not?
It's really difficult as a journalist, and it's particularly difficult because the security needs are so obvious and now more apparent than ever. And so it's very difficult to cover a presidential visit of any kind, particularly, even though this was indoors, which makes it easier in some respects from a security standpoint, you never get close to anybody. They cage the media way far away, and so, and even I remember a number of presidential visits where they wouldn't even let me try to mingle with the guests so that I could get, comments or impressions or thoughts. They just want to keep you isolated, and so covering these things becomes very, very problematic. The Secret Service, I've worked with the Secret Service for decades, and they're very good people, and they're doing their jobs. But boy, they can make life difficult for you. And sometimes the campaigns, if you're covering a campaign visit, I'm sure you've seen this, Doug. The campaigns will use the Secret Service as an excuse not to let you get near the principals at all, and sometimes you have to you can talk your way in to be a little closer, but and I've done that many a times. I've tried at least, but it's all very difficult. And then, of course, what you're there for, which is to report on the event to a larger audience. In my case, through television, which meant the photographer, the equipment, the link. In the old days, you'd have to use a satellite link, and nowadays, of course, you can use the internet. It's a lot easier, but there's still a lot of technical work that's involved in order to do a live shot and report from the event itself. And even there, I was noticing at today's event, I didn't see any live shots from inside the hall. They were all outside, and maybe that was the requirement. I don't know what the folks were required one way or the other, but it can make it, it's a challenge, Doug. It's a challenge.
I remember years ago I was talking to a videographer from one of the local TV stations, 2411, I don't remember who, and I asked him about what it's like to cover these events, and he said, well, the better our technology got, the better our cameras got, and he had done it from back in the 80s. He said the further away we were put in the room because they knew our camera and our lenses were good enough to zoom in and get good shots. He said early in his career in the 70s, they'd be right up front because they knew if they wanted to get good video of a president or a candidate, they'd have to be up nearby. He said, but as our equipment increased in quality, the further back in the room they sent us.
There's a lot of truth to that, and because I do remember, particularly, now it's a little different sometimes when you're covering local politicians. You can be up close with them, and even in races for governor of Pennsylvania and Senate of Pennsylvania, although there has been growing efforts to try to control the media and to keep you away from the candidate. But, a lot depends on how well you know the candidates and their campaigns and the people who run their media and press operations. And sometimes you can get to places that you might not otherwise. I remember doing one live shot. This was from a Trump event in 2016, and it was I want to say it was in Beaver County somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where it was. But we were outdoors, and we had to do a live shot, and we did it in the location that the campaign told me to do it. So we set up, and I was doing a live shot. I was in the middle of my live shot when a Secret Service agent came and essentially overruled the campaign, and while I was on the air, tried to move me.
Well, there's the second story right there.
And yes, indeed. And I said to the gentleman, I said, we're on live television at the moment. And he said, I don't care. You're not allowed here.
Oh.
So I just sort of moved with my cameraman. We moved away, and I just kept talking, But it was pretty obvious that the Secret Service controlled the situation, and they were going to put me where they wanted me to go. I was not in anywhere near where a presidential candidate was, so it seemed kind of stupid in the long run. But I wasn't going to fight anybody over this, that's for sure.
I get emails a lot during interviews, and I just got one. The moment I said something there at Radio Saltzman at gmail.com, I said, well, there you go. You got a second story. And you said, absolutely. And somebody said, what's a second story?
The second story would have been the story of the Secret Service interrupting a live shot. And why were they doing that when there was no reason to move me from the spot I was in? We did not do that story, by the way, because it was more important. Frankly, how they treat the media is not it's a story to us,
right?
But I don't think the public really cares. And our focus was on the Trump visit, not on the fact that a Secret Service agent went a little overboard in moving me. I was hardly a threat to the president, doing a live shot for television.
Yeah, and over the years, of course, if you're national reporters get one-on-one interviews with the president, but you've been incredibly successful as a local reporter getting one-on-one interviews, and not just when the president's in town. I recall you did interviews from your attic with President Biden, and he even brought that up. He had good staff work. Somebody saying, "Are you still in the attic, John?"
Yeah, that was when I
era.
interviewed him 4 times during that presidential election, and during one of the real in-person interviews, he made a note of the fact, "Hey, it's good to see you out of your attic." And my comment back, "It's good to see you out of your basement."
Oh, that's a good one.
Because he was in the basement in Delaware when we did those interviews. The reason I got these interviews, there was several reasons. One, of course, is that Pennsylvania is a must-win state politically. So if you're running for president of the United States, you've got to win Pennsylvania. And southwestern Pennsylvania is very critical. And there's no predicting how the state's going to go or even how our region's going to go. We can say, well, your neck of the woods might be more Republican and some areas might be more Democratic, but this is a vote on the margins, and it's really important to win every vote you can. And so because the region is so important, that meant that KDK Television, and as the number one station, certainly politically, and me as the political reporter became more important to the campaigns than, say, the political guy from San Francisco or the political guy in Chicago or New York or Boston, or Texas or Florida, because we know how those states are going to vote. And so there's no need to do all the interviews or as many interviews with those states as you might do with Pennsylvanians. So the number one reason I think I got the interviews was that, but number two is that I'm aggressive.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, people ask me,
I go after those interviews, and I learned a lesson, Doug, that you know, because you worked for Senator Specter, and that is the key to any kind of an interview with the top dog is a good relationship with the staff.
Oh, absolutely.
And the people who work. And I have seen staff mistreated by so many people, and I was a staff person as for a congressman, chief of staff for a congressman for 14 years. So I knew, and I know what it's like not to be treated right. And so I would go out of my way during my 30 years in this business of making sure that the staff were the people that I talked to, that I treated well, that I returned calls, and I got to know. And I found that really was the door, so that when President Biden or President Trump or whomever it was said, hey, to his staff, I'd like to, we should do an interview in Pittsburgh. I wanted their first thought to be John Delano.
Right. It's interesting. This small station that I'm on here, and I've interviewed a lot of folks that over the years, people are surprised. Like, how do you get these? I've had people stop me to, how do you get
relationships?
These? Exactly. And I think election night last year, at about 7:30, I got a call from the Trump campaign, said, would you be interested in interviewing Trump? And I said, well, which one? Because I just assumed it was one of the kids because I've interviewed them. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, no, the president. I'm like, President Trump? I said, it's 7:30. The poll's closed in half an hour. And they said, well, he'll be available at 1:15. Are you interested? I'm like, well, of course I'm interested. So I get, the folks are ready to go here. And, of course, it didn't come through. And those things happen. And the woman called me back.
That happens a lot.
Oh, yeah. And I said, man, she said, Doug, I'm so sorry. I'm like, hey, listen, it was incredible even to be thought of. I said, who did I lose out to? And she said, KYW, which, of course, is the big radio station in Philadelphia.
Right.
I said, well, I can understand that. But that they called me.
I lost a Biden interview once to ESPN during March Madness. And, I was pissed.
I bet.
But I totally understood. why the President of the United States would rather talk nationally to an audience watching March Madness, whatever the basketball games were on ESPN at the time, than me from a station in Pittsburgh. Even though, we're a good TV station and we would he'd get a lot of coverage in Western PA, but this was national. And the sad part of all that story is that I was promised another interview with President Biden, and I never did get that. So...
Yeah,
and they began the shutdown where they wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, after a while, he didn't do a lot. So you interviewed in one-on-one Trump and Biden and Bush, the younger President George W. Bush, Clinton.
My most interviews was with Barack Obama.
Obama, of course, sure.
I had 8 interviews with him over my years, and he was a terrific interview. Except for his biggest problem is that it took him a long time to answer a question.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're a reporter and you're told you've got 7 minutes with the President of the United States, and so you write 7 questions, what you don't need is a president or a candidate who takes 5 minutes to answer your first question. And Barack Obama just was he would think before he would talk. And I suppose that's a good quality in a politician, but he would think, pause, hesitate, and then his words would come out very slowly as he figured out exactly what he was saying.
and that made sure that you couldn't get too many questions in.
I could get 3 questions.
That he may not want to answer. That's right. That's a very common thing.
Although I learned another one of my... I'm telling you all my little tricks. One of my tricks was to hold with Obama. It was to hold a sports question until the very end. So when the staff would signal me we're out of time, that's when I would pop the question. Well, Mr. President, how do you think of the Steelers' chances this year? That kind of thing. And he loved those questions, and he would go on for another 5 minutes.
and the staff could cut you off, but they can't cut off the president.
They would. That's right. They would. I have been cut off by staff, but I was right. They would never dare cut the president or a presidential candidate, or frankly any elected official off. They work for those guys. They're not going to shut them up.
Right. Exactly. And that's how this is. So interesting. And I thought, let's talk to John about what it's like to cover these events. And of course, they used to joke that President Clinton's schedule was just like an idea. He was always hours late. Now, George W. Bush.
I was going to say they almost always are.
I understand George W. Bush was pretty timely. He liked to.
He was certainly more timely than some of the others. And Obama was always late. Trump was always late. He was late today, wasn't he? So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember years ago. I was not with Senator Specter at the time. I was one of my It took time off, and I got drafted back onto staff. But I was with the Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce at one point, and Dan Quayle, then vice president, was coming in for a fundraiser for Arlen Specter, and it was at the William Penn Hotel in downtown Pittsburgh. And I got a call saying, hey, we'd like him to have an opportunity to meet with some local business leaders, 30 people in a room right down the hall from this fundraiser. Will you do it? We got like 2 days' notice. I'm like, sure, we'll do it. Of course we'll do it. And so we're waiting for this to happen. And we get the word on the way in that from the airport, they made the decision that he was going to go to Bankovich Seafood, the place down in the Strip District first. And that's not unusual. Now, they get a little bit of notice, and Secret Service can show up and sweep the area. But we're sitting there waiting and waiting.
It's great visual. It's good TV visual.
Yeah, him and Arlen Specter eating a fish sandwich. And we're thinking, well, he's now running late. He's going to skip our event. And we're like, but he didn't. He actually came to our event. So who was really late for the Specter fundraiser, but Specter wasn't going to complain about that. He was with him the whole time. But yeah, these things happen on these presidential races, or presidential events, I should say. And it's always sort of
it's what makes it exciting and makes it challenging. And I commend all the journalists who are out there covering presidential visits. And of course, as we learned in Butler a year ago, there's some danger involved too. As safe and secure as I've always felt at a Secret Service covered event. I mean, I never felt unsafe at any of those events. Butler demonstrated that there are failures in the Secret Service, and I don't know if anybody's seen the retrospective. There was a wonderful retrospective that was put together by one of our media managers at KDK-TV. It's called In the Crosshairs, and it's just a 30-minute piece. I'm in it, and a lot of the people who covered the events of that day 1 year ago last Sunday, I really recommend it to people. And you can go online and find it In the Crosshairs, a KDK special. So I'm going to pitch that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought it's really interesting comments from people who were covering the event, and you'll see what it's like to cover an event where the reporter starts ducking, the minute those shots are fired. It's pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would encourage people to take a look at that, of course, after 8 p.m. tonight when my show's done.
Oh, yes, of course.
Absolutely.
After 8.
Yeah, what was
Skip the All-Star game, right?
That's right. So Tony Skeen's pitching. Yeah, why would he?
Yeah, right. Well, he'll only pitch for a couple innings, right? So they move those guys
most,
around.
That's how it usually is, yeah. John Delano joining us on the Afternoon Drive Show. John, thanks for your thoughts on this and your
it's fun to be with you. Thanks for calling me out of retirement every now and then.
Oh, absolutely. We'll call you back. So, all right,
I
John.
know. Hey, have a great evening,
You
everybody.
too. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
We're going to take a break. If we have time, we come back. I'm going to tell you about a story when I was driving in the motorcade for President Bush the Younger. I'll tell you that story coming up. But first, this is the Afternoon Drive Show on WMBS.
Red Rooster Dumpster and Hauling are the ones to call when you need a dumpster. Red Rooster offers fast, friendly service and provides medium-sized dumpsters that will fit your needs, whether it's a general remodeling project, emptying a house, or doing a summer or fall cleanout. Just call Red Rooster Dumpster and Hauling at 724-569-0337 for rates and availability. Red Rooster Dumpster and Hauling in Smithfield also offers a 5% military discount. Call 724-569-0337 and look for the Red Rooster.
The Story Square Summer Concert Series is back on Thursday, July 17th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m., featuring music from American Pie and an expanded food lineup for the third Thursday with Juliet's Empanadas, Truckin' Triangles, Frost Fairy, and Desi's Daughters. WMBS will also be on hand for a live broadcast with the prize wheel and giveaways from 5 to 7 p.m. with Josh Krysak and me, TJ DeStefano. Check out the full schedule at uniontownredevelopment.com/Story Square. See you there.
Get ready, Mon Valley. The grand opening of C. Harper Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is happening Saturday, July 26th from 2 to 6 p.m., and you're invited. Come out for food trucks, giveaways, and a tour of our brand new state-of-the-art facility. Got a Jeep? Register for our Jeep show and show off your ride. Stick around because at 6 p.m. we're giving away a grand prize you won't want to miss. It's all happening at C. Harper Mon Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram right off Route 51 in Ross Draver.
C. Harper, the best price every time, all the time.
Laurel Highlands Wealth Advisory Group of Janie Montgomery Scott in Uniontown is a proud sponsor of Sportsline. When you work with Janie, it's about going beyond investing. It's about connecting your life and your finances in a way that makes sense for you. The team partners with you through each stage of life to help you set and reach your financial goals. To learn more about the Laurel Highlands Wealth Advisory Group at Janie, be sure to check out their website at www.lhwag.com. Laurel Highlands Wealth Advisory Group of Janie Montgomery Scott, LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC.
Oak Pizza in downtown Uniontown is your one-stop shop for the most unique pizzas in the region. From the masterminds behind the Fat Angelo's franchise, Oak Pizza is the laboratory where the Fat Angelo's food scientists test their creations and let you be the judge. With traditional favorites like pepperoni and buffalo chicken pizzas to more experimental offerings like the sesame seed-infused Mad Pie or the spicy chicken pickle pizza, Oak has you covered. Order today at oakpizzas.com or by calling 724-439-5805. Your taste buds will thank you.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 till 5 and Saturdays 8 till 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Rags a call today at 724-439-3228 for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
Are you looking to list or sell your house? Now is the time to let the professionals at Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty help you with all of your real estate needs. Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty has 2 convenient locations to better serve you. In Uniontown area, 724-437-7100, or in Connellsville area, 724-628-7200, and speak with one of our real estate professionals. Visit our website, caldwellbanker.com. We have been proudly serving Western Pennsylvania area for over 30 years and look forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Broker Paul Borges.
Funeral services from pre-need to at-need, burial or cremation, call Gates Funeral Home and Crematory, located at 136 North Gallatin Avenue in a beautifully restored historic home. Family owned and operated by Rick Gates, former Brownsville resident and Guyville alumni, the Gates Funeral Home and Crematory offers warmth, convenience, affordability, and ample parking. With a knowledgeable funeral director and compassionate staff, the Gates family and the Gates Funeral Home and Crematory are ready to assist you.
I want to thank John Delano for joining us a moment ago. How about that? 8, this is one-on-one interviews, not just in a press pool. 8 interviews with Obama, 4 with Biden, multiple with Trump, several with Bush.
God, that's more than Barbara Walters
for a
got
local
back in
guy.
the day. That's amazing.
That's amazing for a national interviewer, let alone...
To meet one president once for 2 minutes is amazing. To talk to one 8 times, you got to be sick of the guy after 8 times.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's very impressive. And John knows his stuff.
Absolutely.
Of course, he was chief of staff to Congressman Doug Walgren back in the day. Of course, Walgren, in a shocking defeat, lost to Rick Santorum when Santorum served in the House. The story I wanted to tell you. So when they come in, these motorcades come in from the airport. Air Force One lands, everybody gathers around. Then you hop in these motorcades. And they would ask me once in a while, hey, will you be in this van with the media? Because they wanted somebody along who might be able to answer questions, not on the record, but general stuff. Yeah. So we had this big, huge white 16-passenger white van. We're flying down the Parkway, going about 80 miles an hour. And this poor young girl who's driving this car, looked like she was about 17, starts crying. I'm like, what's the matter? She goes, I can't drive this fast. I can't drive this fast. I need to pull over. Oh, God. And I'm like, no. The media's like, no. Because once you get out of that motorcade, you're done. So as we're flying down the Parkway West from the airport to Pittsburgh, I said, put it on cruise control. We're going to shift spots while we're driving down the road.
It's like a Jason Bourne movie.
And so I said, all right, let go and slide over. Over she slides, and down I sit.
Wow.
And we can. She goes, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, don't be embarrassed. And the media's like, you did fine. You did great. They were like, no, don't pull over because you'd be done.
Yeah, that is
you leave the motorcade, you're out of it.
You're done.
And the media is responsible for covering what they were going to miss. But there's my crazy story about being in a motorcade. Wow. CBS News is next on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. Stick around, folks. We're with you till 8.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Michael Wallace. Inflation steered higher last month. The Labor Department says consumer prices rose 2.7% from a year ago, up from 2.4% in May. These shoppers in Greenville, South Carolina have noticed.
Everything seems to be more expensive.
I can't believe how much everything has gone up. It's ridiculous.
Beyond frustrated. Makes no sense.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
We are seeing the impact of tariffs starting to push up the inflation rate. And we see it most specifically in the food part of this survey. Coffee prices up by 2.2% in just 1 month. Citrus prices up 2.3%.
President Trump was at a summit in Pittsburgh this afternoon where companies pledged to invest more than $90 billion in energy and technology projects to help power artificial intelligence.
You're going to see some real action here, so get ready. Lots of jobs, lots of success. Really a beautiful thing is it's going to be beautiful to behold.
Trump again today defended Attorney General Pam Bondi in her decision not to release any more files from the Jeffrey Epstein case. Bondi was asked about her job security.
I'm going to be here for as long as the president wants me here, and I believe he's made that crystal clear. It's 4 years. Well, 3.5 now, right? We've got 6 months in.
Many Trump supporters want the files released. The 2 huge wildfires in the Grand Canyon are still 0% contained.
Fire Command spokesman Stefan Lasky says an erratic wind is a big problem.
The wind could go in multiple directions at once. When that's happening, we have to pull firefighters out, get them to a safe spot.
Arizona's governor and 2 U.S. senators want a federal investigation into the handling of the fire by the National Park Service. It allowed the fire to burn several days before it exploded in size and intensity. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
A federal grand jury has indicted Vance Belter, the man accused of shooting and killing a Minnesota state representative and her husband and wounding a state senator and his wife. Belter faces murder, stalking, and weapons charges that could carry the death penalty. Some in Israel opposed the defense minister's plan to put Gazans in a camp along the border with Egypt. CBS's Linda Gradstein is in Jerusalem.
It's not an official policy yet, but it is complicating the ceasefire talks because Hamas is seeing it as a very bad plan and as an Israeli intention to remain in control of at least part of Gaza.
The Emmy nominations are out. Severance leads the way with 27 nods. Seth Rogen's The Studio has 23.
You know, I love movies, but now I have this fear that my job is to ruin them.
The Emmys air September 14th on CBS. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Well, warmer days are ahead, the kind of days when you'll be enjoying your deck or patio again, especially with retractable or fixed awnings from Lifetime Awnings. Made in the USA with manufacturers and customer guarantees, Lifetime Awnings products last. Lifetime Awnings is veteran-owned and operated with a 10% discount to all military veterans and their families. Lifetime Awnings, 724-554-6067. Call for a no-cost or obligation home consultation or email John, the owner, at lifetimeawningsusa@gmail.com.
Ready to update your home? Find what you need at Zen's Construction Warehouse. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff will be happy to help you the old-fashioned way. Zen's is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 2. 485 Walnut Hill Road in Continental. Zen's Construction Warehouse, 724-366-8274. Or visit Zen's Construction Warehouse's Facebook page.
Zen's Construction Warehouse, our surplus, your savings.
Folk legend Woody Guthrie's estate is about to release more of his music.
This land is your land, and this land is my land.
Next month, Woody Guthrie's estate and Seamus Records will release 20 songs and 2 spoken word interviews, including a version of This Land with extra verses. The New York Times says he recorded them all at home in Beach Haven, Brooklyn, on a Revere T100 Crescent tape recorder, as he kept an eye on his 3 young children. Guthrie, who wrote lyrics for more than 3,000 songs, died in 1967 at the age of 55 after a long battle with Huntington's disease. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News, New York.
The yogurt maker Danone is recalling all flavors and sizes of its Yo Crunch products. Plastic pieces with sharp edges have been found in some of the packaging's dome toppers and could cause a choking hazard. Those toppers contain granola, M&Ms, and other toppings. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is brought to you by Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Is it time to find a home that fits your lifestyle? Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. You'll find special savings along with beautiful, energy-efficient homes packed with features you've been dreaming about at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon, 4500 PA 51. And now the news.
Go ahead, Doug. Turn that camera around. Live radio at its finest. I was in the process of doing it, and there you go. Oh, there we are. I don't have my makeup on. Enjoy my sunburn, everyone. 6:05 and 85 with sun outside of our Davis & Davis studios. Feels like we're in the mid-90s on this Tuesday afternoon. and good afternoon from the Davis & Davis studios. Davis & Davis attorneys at law, voted Fayette County's best law firm 2024. Your local station, WMBS, the Weather Watch and Sports on the way in a bit. 20 states, more than 20 states, among them Pennsylvania, are going to sue the president and his administration over billions of dollars in frozen money for after-school and summer programs. The Trump administration has reportedly withheld more than $6 billion in federal education grants, saying it wants to ensure recipients of programs align with the president's agenda. The lawsuit alleges withholding of the money violates the U.S. Constitution and several federal laws. Many low-income families will lose access to after-school programs if the money isn't released soon, according to the lawsuit. In many states, school restarts in late July and early August and starts in late August in Pennsylvania. Southwest Pennsylvania Water Authority is having the water shut off tomorrow on McClellantown, or make that in McClellantown on College Avenue in the borough this Wednesday the 16th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to upgrade the system. Customers in that area may experience low pressure or no water, and they are advised to keep some containers of water handy to minimize the outage. And the average price for a dozen eggs is dropping in Pennsylvania and elsewhere for the third month in a row, according to Bureau of Labor Stats data. Consumers are paying about $3.77 for eggs on average, which is down from March's record high egg prices. Bird flu outbreaks in January and February caused the average price of eggs to skyrocket in March, but cases of the bird flu are down now. The dropped cost of eggs has also prompted popular breakfast restaurants like Denny's and Waffle House to remove temporary surcharges that went into effect. A Texas man is facing numerous charges after he allegedly brought a gun to the Pittsburgh International Airport this week. 42-year-old Eric Trask allegedly showed up to a TSA checkpoint yesterday with a gun in his carry-on bag. The man did not have a concealed carry permit and now faces a felony charge of carrying a firearm without a license. The last time a gun was found in a traveler's luggage at PIT was in April this year. And State Senator in Harrisburg, Katie Muth, is introducing legislation this week that would require front license plates on vehicles in Pennsylvania. She says the reason is for public safety and added that a front plate would help improve toll collection. 29 states and Washington, D.C. mandate the front and back plates. That's what Autolist.com says. West Virginia requires just one. Maryland right now requiring two. And with the stop in Pittsburgh in November, the legend Paul McCartney's Got Back tour is coming to North America this fall.
Maybe I'm amazed at the way you love me all the time. Maybe I'm afraid of the way I love you.
The 2025 run of Got Back consists of 19 dates, starting on September the 29th in Palm Springs, California, and wrapping up in Chicago, Illinois, November 24th and 25th. General tickets go on sale this Friday. McCartney launched the Got Back tour in 2022 with 16 shows across the U.S. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Sports and weather next on WMPS.
Is it time for your first home? Or time to trade up to a home that fits your lifestyle? It's time to visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. You'll find special savings along with trade-in and trade-up deals. Imagine beautiful, new, energy-efficient homes packed with the features you've been dreaming about. Trade in and trade up at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon, 4500 PA 51. Trade-in value toward purchase of a new home determined by resale value and evaluation by home center manager. Additional deposit may be required.
And in sports this evening, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game from Atlanta, American League, against the National League Pirates pitcher Paul Skeens for the second straight year will start the All-Star Game for the senior circuit. That's this evening at 8 o'clock on WMBS. Second half of the baseball season gets underway Friday. Pirates will host the White Sox. We'll bring you those games this weekend, starting Friday night at 6:15 on WMBS. And just about a week away from training camp at St. Vincent, Steelers will report to camp next week on the 23rd.
The local, district, and statewide news was brought to you by Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Is it time to find a home that fits your lifestyle? Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. You'll find special savings along with beautiful, energy-efficient homes packed with features you've been dreaming about at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon, 4500 PA 51.
This Weather Watch is being brought to you by Centerville Clinics, offering yearly black lung screenings, diagnosis, education, and treatment options to help you live a fuller, healthier life. And now to the weather.
Right now we have sun, beautiful summer day, 86. Feels like we're in the mid-90s. Overnight low at 72. Then a chance of rain and thunderstorms the next few days. Wednesday at 85. A slight chance of showers Thursday at 84. Do have a threat of rain as well. Showers in the afternoon. Friday at 78. Thunderstorms more likely Saturday at 82. Thunderstorms Sunday at 82 and 83 on Monday. Right now we have sun at 86 at 6:11 on this Tuesday evening, and good evening from the Davis & Davis studios at WMBS. I'm Nick Barczyk. On the way, in just a bit, we will bring you more of the Afternoon Drive Show with Doug Saltzman. Doug on the air until 8 this evening. CBS World News Roundup at 7. That's all on the way tonight on your local station, 590 AM and 101.1 FM, W266DB, WMBS. Good evening.
This Weather Watch is being brought to you by Centerville Clinics, helping you live a fuller, healthier life while providing care regardless of your ability to pay. Call Centerville Clinics today at 724-632-6801.
Would you like to win $1 million this summer? Get to Live Casino in Greensburg for our Summer Fun Collect and Win. Every Saturday from July 12th through August 30th, earn 500 tier credits for a chance to win tons of prizes, including $100,000 cash or $1 million cash dollars. Make Live Casino your Saturday destination this summer and you could become a millionaire. Only at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In 1986, the Firestone Insurance Agency in Normalville was started with a promise to provide clients with truthful, friendly, and courteous service. It worked. With an expanded client base, the Firestone Insurance Agency's customers are now able to choose from over 20 well-known insurance companies. So whether it be auto, home, business, or life, Firestone has you covered, and the promise to provide truthful, friendly, and courteous service is still in place. As an independent insurance agency, the Firestone Insurance Agency works for you. They do the shopping for you to save you time and a bunch of needless phone calls. Because let's face it, no one loves to shop for insurance. Call the office at 724-455-3900 or visit firestoneinsurance.net. Can't make it to Normalville? Let the Firestone Insurance Agency bring service right to your kitchen table. The Firestone Insurance Agency, 724-455-3900 or firestoneinsurance.net. Doing what is right for the customer, finding the most affordable rates while making sure there are no coverage gaps so you are fully protected from the unforeseen.
For professional cleaning services, Clean and Shine in New Stanton is the place for you. They provide commercial and residential cleaning, porter services, carpet cleaning, stripping and waxing, construction cleanups, and car cleaning. For free estimates, call 724-691-0413, email info@cleanandshine14.org, or visit their website, cleanandshine14.org. We clean so you can shine.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281.
It's that time! The 10 best days of summer at the Fayette County Fair. Buy advance tickets now, online or at an advance ticket location, and save the Ferris wheel, the merry-go-round, and more. It's fun for all ages. And don't forget your favorite fair foods, funnel cakes, corn dogs, and freshly squeezed lemonade. Plus tons of great entertainment. Check out the motocross, tractor pulls, demolition derbies, mudmania, monster trucks, even a rodeo. Or just kick back and listen to this year's great music. Buy your discounted tickets now through July 23rd to save big and see this year's concerts. A local favorite, the Clarks, the Little Mermen, the Ultimate Disney Tribute Band, Lee Greenwood, John Morgan, and more. All included in the ticket price. Save time and money. Buy your advance tickets now and save for the whole family. The Fayette County Fair, July 24th through August 2nd. For the full schedule of events and ticket information, visit FayetteFair.com.
Fayette County Fair, incredible fun for everyone.
It's the third half of the afternoon drive show. On our way to 4 halves tonight, since we are with you till 8 o'clock. No Pirate baseball tonight. I'll be on tonight till 8, tomorrow till 8 as well.
Do 4 halves make a whole? I'm
not sure what it makes. But we appreciate that. Interesting conversation I had. I got a call during the news break from somebody saying, you should have John on once a week. Well, I don't know if we can do that. But yeah, just his perspective of handling these events. And one thing when you handle a presidential event, getting through security, I've been involved in campaigns and national campaigns, and these reporters and videographers, Nick, that follow candidates across the country.
Oh, embedded, they say. They're embedded with them,
exactly.
yes. I read a book from a woman who covered Trump during the whole 2016 campaign, and she said, never again, and it was the most exhausting thing she's ever done, including getting her doctorate and raising 4 children.
Simultaneously.
She said that covering the campaign was harder than those two things separately.
Right. I remember somehow I was talking to this one reporter, and she said she drove into it, and then she got the assignment because President George W. Bush was on one of those train tours they do.
Oh,
but back in the day, made sense because they got
back in Woodrow Wilson's day, it made more sense.
Maybe even Harry Truman, but you had the train leave Pittsburgh, which has the presidential limousines driving as close to the tracks as they can get with a helicopter over top.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman said she was assigned to come in. I didn't forget some national network she was with. I forget who. And so she drove into Pittsburgh, and so I started chatting with her. And all of a sudden she came up and she said, "Doug." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I just got an assignment. I'm supposed to get on this train and go with them." I said, "Oh, well, good. That's great." She goes, "No, you don't understand. My car's in this parking lot with my luggage, and I'm not gonna." So
that's brutal.
I'm like, "Well, I will try to get it to you at some point." So she gave me the keys. Very trusting.
Wow.
And she calls me sometime later today. She said, "The closest I'm going to be to you is Columbus in 3 days. Can you meet me there?"
Jesus.
She said, "We'll pay for your flight home."
Oh, my God.
And I said, "Well, you don't have to pay for my flight home. I'll just drive out with somebody else to drive out with."
Sure.
Columbus isn't that far.
No.
But it's funny in campaigns because everything changes minute to minute. I was in Scranton one time.
Oh.
When I was
Dunder
managing
Mifflin, the office.
Yeah, and when I was managing a statewide campaign for Auditor General Barbara Hafer, who, by the way, fired me that summer, and she won the I actually voted for her. I might be the first fired campaign manager to vote for the candidate ever.
You're too nice.
So I'm out there, and some guys involved with the Bush campaign or whatever it was back then. Bush, I think it was Bush the elder, and he said, "Doug, can I borrow your car?" I'm like, "Yeah, where are you going?" He said, "I got to go to." I have to go to Boston. I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have to get home." I thought you meant I drive down the street. He said, "No, I can't get a flight up there. I need to borrow." I'm like, "Oh, right." So I give the guy my keys. And
need to learn to say no, Doug.
This is before like handheld cell phones.
Yeah.
So 3 days later, I never heard back from the guy, and he finally calls me. I'm like, "Hey, where's my car? I need my car. Don't tell me it's in Boston." He said, "No, it's at the airport. It's at the LaGuardia Airport parking lot."
Oh, my God. By the way, nothing worse than those airport parking lots. And when you can't find your car, it's scary.
I'm like, "Where is it in the parking lot?" I think it was in the section called, and this is before you could walk around like clicking your key fobs to make it beep. So I have to get to LaGuardia to get my car.
Yeah.
And it took hours to find this car.
Sure.
At least he knew like it was in short term or whatever.
Yeah, economy. It's
literally
the right part.
walking up and down trying to find the car.
That's amazing.
But that's classic campaign stuff.
That is something, Doug. That's not a life that you want to live forever. That's a short term when you're young, maybe.
It's a young person's job working campaigns because you wake up, you don't even know what city you're in.
That's right.
And you have these outdoor events. And
a lot of young ball players say that. Rookies of the majors, like they woke up and forgot what city they were in.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I think I was in Scranton another time. It's funny, these Scranton stories. And I bumped into an actor, Steve Landesberg.
Oh, yeah.
Who was on Barney Miller.
Sure.
And I always knew I would see him on Car City. He always liked talking about politics. So I tell my campaign manager, we start having this conversation. And I said, "What brings you to Philadelphia?" And he said, "So you travel a lot for the campaign?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Well, you're not in Philadelphia. You're in Scranton." I'm like,
"Well,
oh.
Yeah, close enough. Same state."
Yeah,
it's not like you confuse Philly with Phoenix or something.
Exactly.
No, I know what you mean. That's wow.
That was funny.
You were traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And how many flights did you do in your Apex back in the day?
Well, I set a record for the company I was working for, 75 flights in 1 year.
Oh, my God. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of airports.
Now, when you're single, somebody cleans your room, you're eating better.
Sure.
But when married life came along and kids, I'm like, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are still people who do it their whole life.
Yeah,
Lobbyists.
that's what they want to do, yeah.
Non-stop travel.
Yeah.
Coming up here in a moment, folks, we're going to really change topics here and check in. We spoke last week with Chris Fox out of Texas about the horrific Texas flooding and the still search and rescue. I don't know if they've actually now called it a recovery. That's the last thing you want to tell family members is that you've given up searching for living people. But at this point, that would be an incredible long shot naturally. So we're going to check in here in just a couple minutes with Jared Eggleston. Jared is reporting for CBS News. We're going to get the latest. He's been in Kerrville, Texas, for the last hour. So we're gonna.
I was not given a time, Doug. So
I'm
maybe
sorry.
It was 6:30.
I
was waiting for you to say something.
No,
I didn't want to ask.
Now, I'm sorry. I just kind of tapped on you. You were supposed to give me hand signals.
Thought you were having a spasm.
Sometime we take this thing, we say stuff over the air. Other stations doing a little too far. But what the heck?
It was like Costanza, where you
Oh yeah, my elbow is flying out. Yeah, exactly. Another Seinfeld reference. So we're going to check in with Jared Eggleston. And I understand Nicholas has a sister that lives on a street called Eggleston. I don't think there's any connection. Used to. I don't think there's any connection between these two. So we're going to check in to get the latest what's going on. Then we're going to talk to Larry Magid about artificial intelligence, its impact. Of course, that was a big topic discussed today by President Trump and Senator McCormick at Carnegie Mellon University. So we're going to check in at about 6:35 with technology analyst Larry Magid. But first, joining us right now on the WMBS Newsmakers line, reporting for CBS, Jared Eggleston. Jared, thanks very much for joining us. I know you've been in Kerrville, Texas for the last week. Reporters see a lot throughout their career, and we hear about tragedies and both man-made and also, of course, this is a natural tragedy. But people I've talked to covering it says it's almost like nothing they've ever seen or experienced.
Mm-hmm. It is just insanity, Doug. Thank you for having me on. I was there for about a week, and right after, even in the days after, this happened on the 4th of July, I got into town on Tuesday. That was 3-4 days later, and it still looked like it had just happened. And that just tells you the sheer amount of issues that they had to deal with there, not only in searching for the people who were actually missing, the victims in this case, but also getting these areas back passable. Bridges, roadways, and even vehicles were so far down into the river, they were like buried under this soot and rock and things like that. So they were having to pull those out with specialized vehicles. And they were still doing that even over the weekend before the search had to be paused because of the weather. So they are saying now, Doug, that it could take up to 6 months for them to fully be able to find all of the victims or bodies.
If they ever do find some of them, and sadly, in a flood situation, is not always the case. I know local officials have told people, you might see a pile of debris, but you just can't go into it with a bulldozer until it's properly examined to make sure there aren't, sadly, dead victims in those piles of debris. And I saw a video of people looking in cars that were flipped upside down, thinking, before we just tow this car out, is there a body in there? I mean, we've seen natural disasters of all types before, but this one, perhaps because of the Camp Mystic and the children that were lost there, but this one really seemed to have an impact beyond others for the reasons you just reported.
And that was the eerie thing. You mentioned them telling people, hey, don't go into your debris piles. We watched all last week. We were set up at different spots along the river, interviewing people and doing live shots for the television side of things. And we watched as the days went on, the search crews were slowly making their way down the banks. And they were going through meticulously each pile of rubble and moving it around and clearing it just so the people on that land can begin the cleanup process. They were telling residents last week, they're saying, hey, don't move anything, don't touch anything until one of these specialized crews can get out here and go through it and make sure that there are no victims in there.
And of course, there are still, well over 100 missing people. And in many cases, you almost hope that these were people visiting the area, maybe on vacation or camping, and they simply then survived and went home and didn't report back to local officials. But as time goes on, that gets less and less possible. Have they now made the determination it's no longer search and rescue but recovery?
They have been very careful about their wording. That has been something that a lot of people on the ground, a lot of residents have been frustrated with, because officials there for the longest time were saying it was a search and rescue mission. And so they were kind of using that to not answer other questions about the investigation, about the what's next. Are we prepared if something like this happens? Over the weekend, we saw a shift in that tune. They said it was a robust victim recovery operation, which, reading between the lines there, means that they believe at this point that anyone that is missing, if they haven't, like you said, potentially just ran off into something else, that they are deceased. But they are still looking, they are still trying to get in the river, trying to go up and down the banks to just find these bodies to hopefully provide some closure for those families. But that was hard over the weekend. On Saturday and Sunday and even into this morning, there was rain in the area, heavy rain, and not only in Kerrville, but places north of Kerrville, and all of that water was coming down the river. So a lot of these search and rescue or recovery efforts that they were doing now over the weekend had to be completely paused. We've had about 3 days, roughly, that they were not able to get into the river because of that rain.
Yeah. In a situation like this, too, the last thing any local official wants to make a determination that this is no longer a search and rescue but a recovery, because that's sort of the last bit of hope that and some incredible 1 in a million chance that you might find someone still alive. But so I'm sure that's very difficult for local officials to make that determination. I was talking to a retired assistant director of emergency management for a county here in Pennsylvania, and he said that's the last thing you ever want to have to finally say. In many cases, it might not. If you have a horrible fire at a facility or a home, that goes pretty quick. But in a case like this, where people literally, sadly, could have been swept miles down a river, considering the impact of this storm. Obviously, there's going to be ongoing investigation as to what happened at that club, Camp Mystic, and why weren't people evacuated sooner. Or although when it comes to weather forecasting, I talk to people, and I talked to a meteorologist who said, a lot of forecasting is witchcraft. It's just, they call it sciences. But let me tell you, that a lot of times, we might think a storm's coming, but we can't say how intense it might be down to a T. Very difficult to determine that.
And a lot of my meteorologist friends that I've been talking to about this, a lot of them are also pointing towards warning fatigue. We get warnings on our phone. We're getting alerts on our phones all the time. And people are having trouble parsing through them. They don't know, okay, is this warning that I'm getting, is this one that I need to take action on? So there's a big conversation now going on that amongst people that I've been talking to, more on the behind the scenes, the weather folks working with the National Weather Service and other meteorologists. They're saying, okay, how do we properly convey the emergency to these people? Because you want people to be prepared, but you also don't want people to then stop listening to your warnings, which, like you said, because a lot of weather forecasting, it's witchcraft. It's, changes and things here and there can throw off a forecast, and then you don't want people to then stop listening to those warnings when something like this is happening as well.
Just last week, I was in a meeting, everybody's phone started going off. So we just assumed it was weather related because we've had a lot of storms around here as well lately. And but it was an indication that the 911 system wasn't working in Indiana County. Now, if you're in Pittsburgh, Indiana County is about an hour sort of northeast of Pittsburgh. And I'm like, well, that's an odd thing to get. But then little by little, we're getting more warnings, and not everyone's looking at them. I already got the warning about Indiana County, which is an hour and a half away. But in this case, suddenly the 911 system throughout the state in many counties was not working properly. So people may not even know that because they already got one warning about a county they weren't in. But you're right. This idea of warning fatigue, after a while, how much do you look at your phone? And naturally, sometimes media, especially weathercasters, we always joke there's a local TV station that has severe weather center, even though the temperature today might be 82 degrees and sunny, it's still the severe weather center. So, people sometimes, after a while, you just get that, I've heard enough of it, what could be next? And sadly, especially at a place like Texas and the Plain States, where the idea of tornadoes are not quite, but almost an everyday thing.
Exactly. And you get these warnings all the time. We get severe weather warnings. You get wind warnings. You get other types of, like you said, these public safety, these amber alerts that are coming through. So when you have these inundation of alerts that are coming at you, which are all important, but you also have to weigh the possibility of, okay, is our importance or is the weight of this going down if we're issuing these a little too heavily or we're not messaging properly? So again, goes back to a question of messaging.
Right. I was in the Plain States one time. I can't even remember what city I was there for. I was speaking at a conference. And so I was up on about the 15th floor of a hotel. And when they're not used to the plains, it literally looks straight out and you think you can see forever. The earth just curves. So I look out and I see a tornado. I'm like, good heavens. And I call the front desk and they say, oh, yeah, we're monitoring that. That's 27 miles away. And so it's sort of interesting. Like if they evacuated the hotel every time there was a tornado within 27 miles, all their guests would be in the basement all the time. But that's one of those situations. Like how often do you make that warning? And for me, I'm like, oh, there's a tornado. I better let the front desk know. And they're like, yeah, we know about it. And you get at that point quite used to what's happening. Well, we appreciate your taking time, Jared. I'm sure that was a very tough assignment. Reporters need to be objective, but in a situation like this, I don't know how anybody could see what was happening down there in person and not be moved, considering the horrific tragedy that has taken place in Kerrville, Texas, and their surrounding area. Jared Eggleston, joining us, reporting for CBS News. Thanks. We hope to talk to you again sometime. Thanks for joining us today,
Thank
Jared.
you for having me.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. Again, Jared Eggleston, reporting for CBS News. Spent a week in Kerrville, reporting on that down there. Just a horrific situation. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to check in with our good friend Larry Magid. Just talk about artificial intelligence, the impact it's had. It's been around for a long time, but certainly not to the degree it is now. And one company went public, and Larry's convinced that's what changed the whole world when it comes to this. He was also recently on vacation in Norway, and he said he depended a lot on artificial intelligence during that trip. We'll talk to him about that as well. But first, this is the Afternoon Drive Show on WMBS.
Pizza King's in Connellsville is your go-to lunch and dinner spot with a full menu of mouth-watering pizzas and so much more. Using a deck oven helps our pizzas stay extra crisp. So if you haven't tried a slice lately, what are you waiting for? From our 50-slice King Carnivore to veggie pizzas and even pickle pizzas, Pizza King has the pie to match your taste. Pizza King's, 1046 Morrell Avenue in Connellsville. Call 724-626-8343 or visit pizzakingswithaz.com.
Your health is more than just how you feel today. It's about staying well for the years ahead. At WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital Primary Care, we're here to help you manage your health with regular checkups, screenings, and care that's tailored to you. With locations in Uniontown, Carmichaels, Connellsville, and Scottdale, it's easy to find care close to home. Visit wvumedicine.org/Uniontown today to find the primary care provider who is right for you.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 till 5 and Saturdays 8 till 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Rags a call today at 724-439-3228 for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
Hello, I'm attorney Jeremy Davis from the law firm of Davis & Davis. We have been helping the great people of Fayette County for over 45 years with personal injury claims. If you are hurt or injured, call our law firm for your free consultation. The insurance companies are not on your side. Call us today at 724-437-2799. Either myself or an attorney from our office will personally come out and meet with you. If you're in an accident or hurt, call us at Davis & Davis, 724-437-2799 for your free consultation. Let us fight for you.
Are you looking to list or sell your house? Now is the time to let the professionals at Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty help you with all of your real estate needs. Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty has 2 convenient locations to better serve you. In Uniontown area, 724-437-7100, or in Connellsville area, 724-628-7200, and speak with one of our real estate professionals. Visit our website, caldwellbanker.com. We have been proudly serving Western Pennsylvania area for over 30 years and look forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Broker Paul Borst Jr.
Attention, active and retired coal miners. Have you been screened for black lung? Here at the Black Lung Clinic at Centerville Clinics, we offer yearly screenings, diagnosis, education, and treatment options to help you live a fuller, healthier life. We provide care regardless of your ability to pay. Call Centerville Clinics today at 724-632-6801. Do it today. Feeling lucky? Your next big jackpot is waiting for you. Visit the casino at Nemacolin in Farmington, PA for the ultimate casino experience featuring the hottest table games, daily promotions, big-time giveaways, and an exciting variety of premium slots. And after, celebrate your big win with a juicy burger at the Royale while you watch the big game. Hotel packages available. Visit CasinoNemacolin.com for more information. The Casino at Nemacolin. Game on. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
CareerLink is your one-stop resource for employment and training-related services. Visit CareerLink and you'll have access to many programs and agencies for assistance with economic, educational, and job-related needs. For more information on all the programs available to you, contact CareerLink at 724-434-JOBS. That's 724-434-JOBS.
That's Huey Lewis in the news. Bring us out of the break. Just got off the phone with Rich Fitzgerald, of course, former county executive from Allegheny County, now executive director of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission, which is the metropolitan planning organization here in southwestern PA that deals with all the transit issues. He was at the event today that President Trump was at with U.S. Senator Dave McCormick. He'll be joining us tomorrow. We'll get you that exact time as soon as you have it. But he's going to join. He was at the event today, so we'll get his take on that as well. Joining us right now, we haven't talked to him in a while. It's been too long. Joining us on the Afternoon Drive Show, technology analyst, CEO of ConnectSafely.org, Larry Magid. Larry, thanks for joining us today. I know you're the world traveler. We'll talk about that in a bit, but how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Well, that's good.
You?
That's good. Doing well. Yeah, it's been a while since we've talked to you. As we've been reporting, and this region's been reporting, as you might guess, talking about an event today at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, a energy and innovation summit that was hosted by Pennsylvania's new U.S. Senator Dave McCormick. President Trump was there. I think 5 or 6 members of his cabinet were there, including CEOs of technology and other energy companies from all over. And of course, the one issue coming up now is the need for energy for AI, artificial intelligence. So that's the point I wanted to talk to you about, not the visit, not the summit, but the impact of AI, which has been around for a while. And AI can take on a very wide variety. If you're able to talk into a phone and say, when is flight 593 arriving from Dulles, and somebody can answer that question, that's AI, without talking to a real person. But you told me earlier that one company going public seems to have changed the whole landscape.
Yeah, and by public, it's not so much on the stock market, but publicly releasing ChatGPT, which was about 2 or 3 years ago. That's when people discovered generative AI. I mean, frankly, I had never used generative AI prior to ChatGPT, and now I use it multiple times a day. I mean, I hardly ever use Google anymore, frankly, because Google will give me a search result, which will take me to a place that might or might not answer my question, but ChatGPT will just answer it for me. It's sort of like saying, who discovered America or whatever, and they say, well, go to the library and look at this book versus just saying, Well, it was Columbus. It may not have been actually Columbus, but
could have been a Viking for all we know. Right?
Yeah, that's how. Well, yeah, because it probably was a Viking. But my point is, you get the answer now, and just like me, it might have made a mistake because I might have gotten that wrong by saying Columbus. But the point is that it makes errors, but it's right most of the time, and I'm right most of the time, I think, but not all the time. And it's easy to use. And right now, for most people, it's free, which is great. Although, as I think your point of the whole energy issue, it really is far from free when it comes to the energy consumption.
Yeah, and that's what might puzzle some people, frankly. And I know that's not your area of expertise, but the amount of energy needed to make that work. And power plants are reopening. They're looking to reopen 3 Mile Island, which you could probably won $1 million bet 20 years ago that would never reopen. But it's
that's right.
It's at least part of it, I should say. It is amazing. Suddenly, I talk into my phone a lot. People always laugh at me because I send text messages talking into my phone. But being an English and communications major, I always check the grammar. It's a pet peeve of mine. But that idea of just talking to your phone and then getting that answer, you're right. Very different from the days of Google. Acting as if Google's a past tense. It's not. But just the
Google had its own generative AI product as well, of course, and as does Microsoft, which is a license from OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, and Apple is improving Siri, which hopefully eventually will have its own robust AI model. Right now, they're partnering with ChatGPT, but the point is, it's becoming the de facto way for getting information for adults, for kids, students are using it extensively. And as I mentioned, I can't go through a couple of hours without using it. Everything from traffic reports to weather reports to, I think I mentioned to you when we were talking offline, I recently came back from Norway, and I used it multiple times a day for train information, to translate menus for me, to explain Norwegian dishes, which even in English didn't make any sense to me. It just had endless uses for me.
Yeah, it is amazing, the sudden impact. And I was talking to my daughters, 3 of which are now college graduates, one still in college, and I said, I can't imagine what it's like now having to write a paper compared to the days when I would me and my buddies would hop in a car and go to the library, spend 5 hours there going through doing our research for a term paper on 3x5 cards. We were taught how to do that, take all your notes down, get all the references. If it's easier for students, is it harder for professors now to determine whether a student's writing their own paper or they just snag this somewhere online?
Well, I'm sure it's challenging for professors. I have a colleague, my education director at Connect Safely, who is a high school teacher, and she says she could tell, but she teaches small classes, and she knows her students well. But the fact is that it can write very well. I mean, I as you know, Doug, I make my living as a writer, or I have most of my career. I consider myself a pretty good writer. But there are times that I'm stuck on a paragraph and it doesn't read quite the way I want it to read. In the old days, I would just rewrite it. Now I might pump it into ChatGPT and say, "Can you improve on this?" And it usually does. I've never used it to write an entire column. I've never used it to edit an entire column because I just feel somehow, if people are paying me for my writing, I'm the one who has to do the writing. But I do use it occasionally just to kind of tweak things. And I know for a fact I could just simply say, "Hey, write me a column on XYZ," and it would do it. I just, as a journalist, I don't feel it's ethically right for me to, get paid to publish things like that. But in the future, who knows?
Yeah, it is, and it's come into, who would think something like AI would suddenly be part of negotiations for union contracts in Hollywood? The writers went on strike saying, "No, you got to let us do the writing." I get it, and I also get the studio's position, which is, we're trying to get more bang for our bucks, and the writers, of course, are using. I would imagine that many of them are using AI as a tool to help improve their writing. I mean, I'm not, and I think I'm okay with that if they are the ones coming up with the creative ideas. Sort of like a carpenter using an electric saw versus a manual saw, or Bob Dylan, if you saw the movie about Dylan, using an electric guitar versus an acoustic guitar. The times are changing, to continue with the Dylan metaphor, and you adapt to them. Yeah, and I'm sure there were contract negotiations back in the day that said you have to use cameramen on all the cameras in the news studio.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember I remember I was doing a two-way radio interview with NPR, and they had, and I said, I've got an ISDN line at home. I can do it from. He says, no. We have to use a union engineer to connect the line, and they wouldn't let me use it because there was no union engineer available. And these days, nobody would think twice on even on NPR, on any radio station, of doing a phone or doing even a high-quality digital call without having a union engineer on the call.
Yeah, it's
you're absolutely right.
So when you think from that standpoint, and what you can now do in a movie, when what did I watch recently? The Fugitive, and the train wreck scene in The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, right, and Tommy Lee Jones. They actually wrecked a train. I watched a documentary about how they brought this train down the track, had it divert off the track. Nowadays, they would do that entirely, of course,
right,
with computers. What's the terminology? Something. That's it. Computer generated
CGI.
Imaging. Yeah. CGI.
Yeah, CGI. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I thought you were going to tell me they wrecked a toy train, a miniature train, but it must have been a very expensive shot they did if they had to.
Can you imagine?
To do it.
Right.
And now it's true. It's funny because when I watch videos today, I just assume I'm watching these fantastical displays, and I almost assume they're AI versus actual, materials or actors or whatever it is that's in it.
Yeah, it's one of those never-ending. Like say, when it first came out and they started doing stuff like that, people are going to be disappointed because they know that's not real. Well, if they do it good enough, you don't know it's not real. I was watching a documentary / movie about the Kennedys, and of course their famous house up on the Cape, and all they did was build the front porch, and then they just CGI'd everything else onto it, and you couldn't tell. Right. There was no way you could tell.
Well, and of course, as you know, being in the news business, the big issue is, there is such a thing as willing suspension of disbelief, which is when we go to a movie and we see fiction, we sort of form a contract with a movie producer saying we agree to sit there and watch this absolutely insane thing that could never happen in real life, and that's a good thing. It's why we're entertained. But now we have that in news as well. And when you're on the web, looking at a web page, you need to think clearly: is this real? Is it AI? Because it's not necessarily obvious. So that's why it's very important to use reputable sources who hopefully are ethically vetting the accuracy of what they're reporting.
Yeah, several years ago, one of the networks was broadcasting from Times Square. It was either CBS or ABC, and behind them, there was an ad for the other network, a big ABC logo or a big CBS logo. And, of course, they blanked that out. They didn't want that over their anchor's shoulder during the news, and they got criticized for changing the background. And I remember whoever the producer was at the time said, well, what did you expect us to do? Advertise the other network during our newscast? But there's the issue. Is that wrong? You change the background, but it's not exactly like you're changing the background on a battlefield or something.
There was a very famous photograph. I think it was National Geographic, but I may be wrong on the publication, where somebody put the pyramids closer together because it fit better in the shot. And that was like, I think that photographer probably lost his entire reputation for having done that. And now, and of course nobody would have known other than people who actually know what the pyramids look like. But it was clearly an ethical violation at the time.
We're talking with Larry Magid here on the Afternoon Drive Show about AI and its impact. I just had to ask Nick a question here. I couldn't think of her name. Katie Couric, at one point, of course, was doing the CBS Evening News, and they did an advertisement then. Katie Couric, new anchor for the CBS Evening News, and they showed a photo of her, and they had slimmed her down and made her thinner than she was.
I've met her in person. She looked great without. I mean, she and I were colleagues, as you can imagine, at CBS, although she made more than $16 million more than I did, but we still worked for the same network.
Right. And she was on. So this came out, and then they realized, they shouldn't have done this. And Katie Couric probably, I don't even know if she knew. She was on David Letterman. She said, well, there's just more of me to love. That's how she got. But who knows if she actually.
I guarantee you the CBS radio network never slimmed me down on radio. they put me on just as I actually. I look great on radio. So
that's right. And now we're on Facebook Live, and we have to behave ourselves like we never did before.
That's right.
But, that sort of thing of what can be done at any level. And, of course, there's every once in a while, someone will get a message from somebody they think is a former president, the current president, a senator, and it's fake. But my gosh, it looks like they're saying it. How do you stop?
And we talked. I think when it happened about what's it called? Not revenge porn. These fake kidnappings.
Swatting and all that. Right.
And I think I mentioned that somebody tried to victimize me. But now you can actually get a call from someone who you really sounds like your wife or your kids, claiming I've been kidnapped, but it's a perpetrator who may have had a second's worth of their audio sound and created a voice for them. I don't know how often these have happened, but the fact that it can happen is just chilling. That you can be deceived into thinking something awful is happening to a loved one because they've manipulated the voice.
Right.
Or send them money, whatever it is.
And who wouldn't fall for something like that? I mean, grandparents have gone out and bought thousands of dollars worth of gift cards to get their grandchild out of prison, saying you can use it for bail.
Right.
But something it's
that's a good clue. I don't know of any prison system that uses gift cards for bail.
But sadly, people fall for it. I mean, people will give their banking account information because they're told they won the lottery in Jamaica, despite the fact they've never been to Jamaica. It's sad what people fall for.
And that's been going on forever. But AI is going to make it, and the thing about AI, it's like any technology, it's a double-edged sword. I think it's a great tool. I think it's going to change humankind in some very profound ways, but it's going to have and is already having negative implications. Already, we're seeing layoffs. Microsoft has admitted that the recent round of layoffs was partially due to being AI replacing some of its workers. It's coders even highly skilled programmers have to worry about their careers now because some of the more mundane AI tasks can be taken over. Programming tasks can be taken over by AI. I'm sure the more brilliant coders, the creative ones, are probably fine. I think that really great writers and musicians and anybody who's very, very good at their craft is probably okay. But mediocrity is becoming irrelevant because AI can do it. AI can do mediocrity just as well as humans can.
Yeah. It's amazing when you think about the changes. I'm looking at your website right now, of course. You're CEO of ConnectSafely.org, the Internet Governance Forum in Norway, focusing on protecting kids. Tell us what that was about.
Well, it was a good event. It was about a 4-day event. They have it every year, and they move it around the world. This year it was right outside of Oslo, and I went. Not a bad place to go.
Not bad.
And as far as the conversations were going, it's a lot of the same conversations we were having in this country about the impact of AI, the impact of social media, acknowledging that too much time online can be harmful. In this article I wrote, I talked about some fear-mongering that went on in one session that I attended where somebody was making the implication that the companies were deliberately trying to harm your children. I think that's not true. I think that there are negative consequences of some positive products, and that the companies may not be doing enough to protect your children. But by and large, it's good to have an international conversation because one thing we know about the Internet is that national borders are, for the most part, irrelevant. And so to have a global conference where you're meeting with people from every continent and most countries is quite useful. And I learned a lot from people in Africa and Asia and Latin America, and of course colleagues from Europe and the United States who I have a tendency to meet with more often. I learn from them as well.
Yeah, one would hope that the good things that one can get on the Internet outweighs the bad, but you don't hear the good things being reported on the news. You hear the horrible stories.
Well, when's the last time you picked up a newspaper and saw an article about all the planes that landed safely the day before?
Exactly.
And you only hear about the ones that crash.
Right. There was a plane crash, and any plane crash, anybody losing their life is horrific. But there was a plane crash that happened. I think it was in Nebraska. 2 people died. The other people survived, and it made the local news. And I'm like, do you know how many car crashes there were between here and Nebraska on the same day that took more lives than that? And
that's right.
And they're all tragic, but for whatever reason, certain areas like that, an attempted child luring that happens in the next state makes the local news. And at times, it's such the need to fill 24/7 news. I think gives people the indication that, oh my gosh, my daughter could be kidnapped today.
Well, the difference between car crashes and plane crashes is that plane crashes are extremely rare, and therefore they're newsworthy. Not that they're more tragic; they're equally tragic, especially if it's a small plane. It's no different than a small car crashing, but they're just so rare that they're newsworthy. Whereas the car crashes, are only newsworthy when they're, under certain circumstances. But you're absolutely right, and it's interesting about the child. Sure, a horrible thing that happens to a child, which is tragic, is obviously going to be newsworthy. But what about the thousands of little cuts? All the kids that get bullying, all the kids that are spending too much time online, all the kids that are having minor kind of mental health issues because of what's happening online. That doesn't make the news, but the rare but tragic cases of child abductions, of course, does. And we always have to. That's why I started Connect Safely, frankly, was because there was so much emphasis back in 2004 about predators. Remember the TV show To Catch a Predator?
Sure.
People were panicked over it, and of course it was tragic when it happened, but they weren't paying attention to the more common things that happen every single day to a significant percentage of young people, and focusing on these rare events that probably are not going to happen to your kid. I mean, the odds of it happening to your kid are extremely, extremely low, whereas the odds of that kid being bullied or something else are higher. They're still not significantly high, but they're higher. And it's very important that in any area of safety, we focus both on severity and prevalence. That just because the common cold isn't normally fatal doesn't mean we should ignore it. But it also means that we don't only focus, on terminal diseases as well.
Exactly.
So you got to think about all aspects of it.
Larry Magid, of course, technology analyst and CEO of ConnectSafely.org. Folks, check out that website. It changes all the time. I don't recommend every website of guests we have on, but yours is so terrific, Larry. It's just constantly updated with great information.
Thank you so much.
Our family has used it.
And we do have an article about it. For those who are interested in this Internet Governance Forum, there's an article on our front page that can tell you all about it and my experience having been there for several days.
Larry, thanks so much. Good talking to you again, as always.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Take care. Larry Magid joining us, of course, ConnectSafely.org, ConnectSafely.org. Check out that website. We're going to take a break, wrap things up for this hour. 7 o'clock, World News Roundup, late editions coming up. Then we're going to check in with Dick Jewell, who was at the event today at Carnegie Mellon University with U.S. Senator Dave McCormick and President Trump, and a myriad of technology CEOs. It was quite the event. Stick around.
Join WMBS on Sunday, July 20th for the 4th Annual Centerville American Legion Car Show on the Old National Pike in Fredericktown. Registrations are from 10 a.m. to 12 noon with the car show from 12 to 4. Our live WMBS broadcast with a prize will be from 1 to 3. The event features a 50-50 drawing, hot dogs and hamburgers, car awards, auction baskets, including a bonus basket valued at $500, and music from the Sunglass Man. For more information, call Sherry Lacey at 724-984-1459. We will see you there.
Red Rooster Dumpster and Hauling are the ones to call when you need a dumpster. Red Rooster offers fast, friendly service and provides medium-sized dumpsters that will fit your needs, whether it's a general remodeling project, emptying a house, or doing a summer or fall cleanout. Just call Red Rooster Dumpster and Hauling at 724-569-0337 for rates and availability. Red Rooster Dumpster and Hauling in Smithfield also offers a 5% military discount. Call 724-569-0337 and look for the Red Rooster.
Warm weather is finally here, and with it, the opportunity to upgrade your lawn or yard with a new fence from All Around Fence Company. Conveniently located at 7896 National Pike, Uniontown, All Around Fence has been installing quality residential, commercial, and farm fencing for more than 45 years. Offering residential fencing including chain link, decorative aluminum, steel, and more, All Around Fence has a fence for you. All Around Fence is also your one-stop shop for Neutrina products and carries livestock, equine, and pet supplies too. So whether you need to upgrade an existing fence, add a new gate, or are looking to install an all-new fence, All Around Fence has the answers for you. Visit them Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or give them a call at 724-439-0331. To learn more, visit allaroundfence.com.
Your health is more than just how you feel today. It's about staying well for the years ahead. At WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital Primary Care, we're here to help you manage your health with regular checkups, screenings, and care that's tailored to you. With locations in Uniontown, Carmichaels, Connellsville, and Scottdale, it's easy to find care close to home. Visit wvumedicine.org/Uniontown today to find the primary care provider who is right for you.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles, and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
WMBS, Uniontown.
Inflation jump.
I can't believe how much everything has gone up. It's ridiculous.
Response questioned in deadly Massachusetts fire.
You could have had 100 firefighters show up on that scene and it wouldn't have been enough.
Detainees facing deportation.
No longer eligible to be released on bond.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. Yes, that really is the price, as most everything continues to get more expensive. CBS's Jim Krasula.
The U.S. Labor Department says inflation rose last month to its highest level in 4 months as the cost of gas, food, and groceries increased. These people in Joplin, Missouri have noticed higher food prices.
Meat and milk.
Produce, too.
Even just regular stuff like milk and eggs.
The price of everything is going up.
The Consumer Price Index rose nearly 3% in June. Campaigning for office last year, President Donald Trump promised to immediately lower prices. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
Stocks closed mixed. The Dow fell 436 points. The Nasdaq rose 37. According to a recent regulators review, the Massachusetts Assisted Living Center, where 9 residents died in a fire Sunday night, was cited for failing to immediately report more than 24 health and safety incidents. Fall River Fire Department Chief Jeffrey Bacon was asked if more firefighters would have helped in containing the fire.
I can't disagree with the union's assertion that if there were more firefighters there, that we could have done things more efficiently and better. I don't know if it would have saved lives. That's speculation.
The Trump administration says it's ending the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops in Los Angeles. Roughly 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines had been deployed. It wasn't immediately clear how long the rest would stay in the region to protect federal buildings and guard immigration agents as they carry out arrests. A shift in Trump administration policy means huge numbers of people in immigration detention no longer qualify for bond hearings.
People living unlawfully in the U.S. for years used to be eligible for bond hearings, allowing them to fight deportation outside of detention centers. Now a policy change says all non-citizens who enter the U.S. illegally face mandatory detention. This woman protesting ICE policy says,
I have family and friends who are terrified.
The Department of Homeland Security coordinated with the Department of Justice on the policy shift. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Flash flooding in parts of the Northeast have left at least 2 people dead in New Jersey. CBS's Jared Hill.
The dangerous system dumped more than half a foot of rain in Scotch Plains.
I've never seen flooding like this.
Triggering flash flooding and water rescues throughout the state. The town of Plainfield hit especially hard, with homes flooded and trees uprooted.
Rain poured into the New York City subways. Now this.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month, but what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Federal grand jury indicts Vance Belter, who's accused of shooting to death a prominent Minnesota state representative and her husband and seriously wounding a state senator and his wife. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson.
Count 1 of the indictment charges the defendant with the stalking of Melissa Hortman with the intent to murder Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman. This charge carries a sentence of up to life in prison.
President Trump at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh touts tens of billions of dollars in energy and tech investments at a new summit focusing on energy and innovation.
Today's commitments are ensuring that the future is going to be designed, built, and made right here in Pennsylvania and right here in Pittsburgh, and I have to say right here in the United States of America.
Projects include the construction of data centers to help provide the enormous amounts of energy needed to power artificial intelligence. You're listening to the CBS World News Roundup.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and top users make $200 to $300 per month.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code STEER25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code STEER25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code STEER25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Nominees for television's top honors have been announced. CBS's Matt Wolf with more.
It was a good day for HBO Max.
Piper, no!
The White Lotus, The Penguin, and The Last of Us getting the streamer its most Emmy nominations ever, but it was Severance for Apple TV Plus leading the way with 27 nods.
I am a person. You are not.
Including Outstanding Drama and The Studio with Seth Rogen with 23.
Everything okay?
And Kathy Bates becomes the oldest nominee ever for Best Actress for the CBS revival of Matlock. Matt Wolf, CBS News.
A private space flight returned to Earth early this morning, splashing down in the Pacific off the California coast.
And we have splashdown of the AX-4 crew back on planet Earth.
Welcome home.
The private mission was commanded by Peggy Whitson, who has now racked up a U.S. record of 695 days in space. Time of the roundup, 7 minutes past the hour.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
In Britain, jail terms for the men who chopped down an iconic tree.
Stand up, please.
Sentenced for chopping down Britain's beloved Sycamore Gap tree.
Mr. Daniel Graham, Mr. Adam Carruthers, I pass the same sentence in respect of you.
That sentence, 4 years and 3 months. Under British sentencing rules, they'll serve less than half of that for felling the tree made famous in the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves film. The judge also ordered the forfeiture and destruction of defendant Daniel Graham's Range Rover and cell phone, both of which were used in the crime. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
Sesame Workshop regains control of Elmo's X account after a hacker posted racist and anti-Semitic messages. The account was compromised over the weekend. Instead of its usual uplifting posts, the account shared offensive content, including a reference to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. That's the World News Roundup Late Edition for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. I'm Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
As loved ones age, it's important to make sure that they're getting the care and attention that they need. Hillside Manor Personal Care Home aims to make your loved ones as comfortable as possible while still receiving superior care. 4 specialized levels of care and the services of an on-site certified registered nurse practitioner means that care is personalized on an individual level. At the same time, residents can enjoy a hospitable environment. Themed after a small town, the interior of Hillside Manor features a 50s-style diner, movie theater, and common areas. High-priority safety and security measures ensure the safety and protection of all residents and staff members 24 hours a day, and friends and family are encouraged to make frequent visits. If you're looking for a clean, friendly, and safe place for your loved ones, look no further. Hillside Manor Personal Care Home is ready to meet your needs. Call 724-439-2273 for more information. They look forward to meeting you.
For economy, price, and quality service, call Economy Furnace. What's more fun than a summertime bucket list? Did you know that adding a new air conditioner from Economy Furnace to your summer bucket list is a really cool move? Especially if your current unit is old or inefficient? Economy Furnace Heating and Air has partnered with Amana, which is known for reliable performance, high energy efficiency, strong build quality, and competitive pricing. Not quite ready for a new unit? Then don't forget to add a manufacturer-recommended AC tune-up to that summer bucket list. Let us take the worry of a summertime meltdown and keep you calm, cool, and comfortable all summer long. Economy Furnace Company is local and family-owned. Call Economy Furnace Heating and Air at 724-438-4575. At 724-438-4575. For economy, price, and quality service, call Economy Furnace.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Sapienza, WMBS's Morning Man, here to remind you of the letters for this week's Name It and Claim It Scrambled Word Game. This week, we have 9 letters in the contest. 9. So let's see if you can unscramble these into a proper word. Listen up, listen close, listen carefully. They are as follows. L as in left. F as in fly. J as in job. H as in horse. L as in long. I as in island. E as in easy, S as in Sid, and Y as in youthful. Those letters make up one word. You must use all the letters in your answer. No proper names, please. You want to get on this week's contest? Well, I'm sure you do. So here's what you got to do to enter. Just send in your answer along with your name, address, and phone number to Name It and Claim It, WMBS Radio, 44 South Mount Vernon Avenue, Uniontown, Pennsylvania, 15401. Or if you really feel like it, you can drop your answer off personally here at the WMBS Broadcast House at that very same address. Either way, make sure your cards get in by 4 p.m. this Thursday, July 17th. Our prize this week is a set of 4 tickets to the Fayette County Fair, which you can use anytime the fair is going on July 24th through August 2nd. Enter as many times as you like. No purchase is necessary because it's all from us, your local station, 590 AM, 101.1 FM, and of course on your device of choice, WMBS Uniontown, the home of the Name It and Claim It Scrambled Word Game. Best of luck.
When their world isn't safe, they need someone to notice, to wonder and worry, to be their voice. If you suspect child abuse in any way, report it. You can be their hero. Your call can change their world.
Report suspected abuse by calling 1-800-932-0313 or visit keepkidssafe.pa.gov for more information. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Here's a business looking for a customer.
Hi there.
Here's a customer looking for a business. Hi. And that's where the Better Business Bureau comes in. The BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. That's why 2023 IABBB research found 80% of people choose BBB accredited businesses over non-accredited ones with the same A+ letter rating. Live happily, better after. Always look for the sign of a better business because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Would you like to win $1 million this summer? Get to Live Casino in Greensburg for our Summer Fun Collect and Win. Every Saturday from July 12th through August 30th, earn 500 tier credits for a chance to win tons of prizes, including $100,000 cash or $1 million cash dollars. Make Live Casino your Saturday destination this summer and you could become a millionaire. Only at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Welcome back to the late edition of the Afternoon Drive Show on a Tuesday. No Pirate baseball tonight, of course, although a Pirate will be pitching tonight. The first starting pitcher in an All-Star game for his first 2 seasons in the bigs.
Yes, and maybe he can win the Cy Young, and I'm sure he would if his record were better, which would be dependent on his teammates.
Can he win the Cy Young with less than 10 wins? I mean, if you've got an ERA like 1.8.
Yes, I really hope the Pirates, the highlight of their season is not one of their players finishing as the third runner-up in the home run derby.
Yeah.
Which,
although they said he set a record for the longest, O'Neill Cruz last night hit a 505-foot home run, which there's records for the longest home runs, and then they don't include Colorado because the balls fly forever out there.
But yeah. People like that. Ooh, it's like fireworks.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah, I just...
Well, it's glorified batting practice.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, the pitchers are coming in 70 miles per hour right
they're
down the
grooving
middle.
them, and they have their dads throwing to them. It's fun. It's whatever.
Yeah, but I guess he did not win it, but he set a record for the longest outside of Colorado.
That's so typical of the Pirates and of him. Not winning, but setting records.
Records.
Great. We're never going to win anything, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens tonight with Paul Skeens. Joining us right now, no doubt a fan of Paul Skeens, who isn't, for heaven's sakes, joining us on the WMBS Newsmakers line. I never got so many emails following an interview saying, have him back on. You didn't talk about what you were supposed to talk about, which was rather interesting. Dick Jewell joining us, of course, well-known local business and community leader, former president of Grove City College, member of the gaming board at one point. But today you're a roving reporter. You're the on-the-spot reporter for us on the event today at Carnegie Mellon University, hosted by, of course, U.S. Senator Dave McCormick. President Trump was there. Half his cabinet was there, I think, and CEOs from across the globe, literally, came together at Carnegie Mellon University. One of the most incredible events. I've talked to people saying they never saw such a wealth of talent and power in one place.
Probably the largest agglomeration of billionaires seen lately.
Yeah.
In one
outside the Duquesne
hall.
Club, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that the group that was there today, when they write checks to bank bounces, it was pretty interesting group. It was a great. I was there for the afternoon session, not the morning. In the afternoon, of course, is when the president came, and they called on the cabinet secretaries and some of the big time suppliers that are going to take AI to the next level. And after it was over, I was actually having an interesting conversation with Nick Sherman, your chairman, I think, of the commissioners.
Oh, in Washington County, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
right, Washington County. And Nick pointed out, and he was right, that more venues, not only for gas, but for the various factories that they're going to need to build to develop AI, both the technology and the energy necessary for it, are right in Washington County.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So it was the geographical spotlight without being called out necessarily. But it was apparent if you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, Washington's very interesting at times at what they've done there in terms of economic development. One of the first golf courses surrounded by a business park. A lot of golf courses are surrounded by homes. This one's surrounded by a business park. And they've done a nice job over there. That's for sure.
Thanks to Jack Pyatt, right, and his vision.
Right. And
work that he did.
In Fayette County, where our station's located, they've done quite a bit of development around here as well. And it's tough in some of these counties simply because they so heavily relied on heavy industry, coal, glass, steel. And to make that change takes some work. But the announcements coming from that event today, Carnegie Mellon, Dick, $92 billion with a B dollars of investment in Pennsylvania. That might be the greatest development announcement in the state history since perhaps, I don't know, Carnegie sold his mill back in the day, the first billion-dollar company. Now we're talking about $92 billion of investment. That's colossal.
Carnegie sells his operations, Carnegie Steel, to J.P. Morgan in 1901 for a little bit north of $450 million, and Morgan wrote him a personal check. Of course, that's back in the days when there's no income tax. And, of course, if you ran that number for where it would be today in inflation, it's off the map. And, of course, Mr. Carnegie said that he was going to give it all away, and he tried. but he lasted till 1919 and couldn't do it. Built 2,700 libraries in Wales, Scotland, and in the United States. Carnegie, or Andrew Mellon, I should say, probably the greatest donor in the interests of the public that ever lived in this country. He lived in this country. He was from Scotland.
Right. Yeah, amazing stories. Although friends of mine, I went to high school with a lot of kids from Clareton. They went to St. Elizabeth High School out in the South Hills, and they could never understand why he didn't put a library in Clareton. Everybody else got a library. They always said, "Why didn't Clareton get one?"
You're right.
Yeah, it's sort of course, Clareton back in the day was booming. Good heavens. Those times when at the peak of the steel industry. Now, of course, big announcement by the president just a couple of months ago, of course, talking about the impact, the investment by Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel. And then this announcement's today. This wasn't just your standard, let's get together and talk about energy and let's talk about AI and
this is not a pie-in-the-sky meeting.
No.
This was, first of all, there's all kinds of provables already necessary to build AI and to not only construct it, but to really raise it up. And a lot of it is energy, which is necessary, and then the technology of thought to put into the algorithms and how you design it. And, of course, between Pitt and CMU, a couple of other schools, you've got the minds and the geniuses to do that. So what we have here in the Pittsburgh region, I'm not just going to say Pittsburgh, because it benefits the whole region. I always like to talk about the region rather than just the city, are all the tools that have already been used and are being used and now are going to be used in different ways and with a great deal more emphasis. And it's extraordinary. And, of course, the president has, at least so far, proven to be an enormous ability, or that he has an enormous ability to bring invested capital into this country.
Yeah, and frankly, into this corner of the state, when you think about
private wealth and some sovereign wealth.
Yeah, amazing. I was talking earlier with Rich Fitzgerald, the former county executive in Allegheny County, now, of course, director of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission. He'll be on the show tomorrow, by the way, folks, to talk about today's event as well. He said he never saw anything like it. In all his years, imagine all the events he's been to over the years in his career, he said he never saw such a gathering of people like that ever. In this region. He said,
well, I had a conversation afterwards. I'm saying, I look up, and it's Rick Perry, former Secretary of Energy and 12-year governor of Texas. And he was in the crowd, and he was just standing over the side. And I had a nice, brief conversation with, because I met him before, a nice, brief conversation with him. Scott Bessent hung around. Anybody wanted to talk to the Secretary of the Treasury? And frankly, I couldn't detect security, although you were checked carefully before you came in, obviously.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
The president was there. I've been to a few of those. There's no doubt.
Rick Perry's interesting. Of course, a former Texas governor, former Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy, as you said.
And greatest Aggie alumnus that ever lived.
He was a guest on our show. I'm looking at my show notes here back in 2020. Of all things, comparing Biden versus Trump on energy policy. No doubt that's why he was there, and we had him on. Of course, he was one of the surrogates for the president when he was running for re-election in 20. I'm sure Rick Perry never thought he'd be back at an event with President Trump 4 years later.
I also had a nice conversation with our treasurer, Stacey Garrity, was there, and Dave Sunday. In fact, I'm meeting with Dave in Harrisburg tomorrow late in the day. I said, geez, Dave, we could have done this here.
Dave Sunday is the Attorney General of the state.
Seeing you.
For those who might know. Not interviewed him yet, but have interviewed Stacey Garrity many times. So let's transition over to that topic. A surprise announcement by a congressman who was at that event today, Congressman Dan Muser, who announced that even after getting an endorsement from the president to run for governor next year, decided not to. I was surprised to hear that. I assumed he wouldn't have gone for that endorsement if I'm guessing polling didn't look good. That's usually what changes people's mind when it comes to running for office. But it's unusual to get an endorsement like that from the president and then 2 weeks later say, I've just changed my mind. I was surprised by that. Were you?
Yes and no. I think he then gave it a little more thought, although he had been thinking about it.
Right.
And I would say now Stacey Garrity looks like the odds-on favorite. to run against Governor Shapiro. And I have a feeling, I don't know, I have a feeling she's going to be announcing in the next few weeks, if not even sooner.
That's a tough one. I mean, in the history of Pennsylvania, which has only been since 1970, so we're only looking at 55 years when a governor can run for re-election. And of course, the only one to not get reelected was our friend Tom Corbett. And one of the great foot and mouth issues I've ever done on a radio show. We were talking about how the days of that you could not run for re-election in governor. I said, can you imagine only serving one term? And as the words are coming out of my mouth, I realize I'm saying this on the air to Tom Corbett, who of course lost re-election, who then said, "Yes, Doug, I know exactly what that's like." And we laughed about it, but I'm like, okay, well, that's going to go down in my my annals of dumb things to say on the radio. But yeah, defeating an incumbent governor in Pennsylvania is not an easy task, is it?
No, as you said, only been done once, and Shapiro looks very strong. But it's, and I tell you about politics. Things can change because of an issue or two that intervenes that you didn't see coming. It can make a heck of a difference. And so, someone who's willing to get in the arena, and if it's Stacey, she's done a nice job, tremendous job working with the party across the whole state, all 67 counties. It's very well known that way, and former full bird colonel in the United States Army, received the Bronze Star in Iraq, and was an executive for many years in a engineering manufacturing company up in the top middle of the state. So she's a very accomplished person. And I think, by all accounts, has done an outstanding job as a state treasurer.
Right, and
I think too. By the way, I think the who she picks as her running mate, and of course, as you know, under Pennsylvania law, anybody can run. Right. They don't have to be picked by the governor. But I think a tremendously balanced ticket would be her and Devlin Robinson, state senator. Also a military war hero, and a guy who's incredibly respected by his colleagues in the Senate and is getting to be well known across the state. And it's in some ways it's sort of reminiscent of when a young senator who had that same seat in 1985 was chosen by who we called Young Bill Scranton to run against Casey, and they almost pulled it off. Yeah, that was Mike Fisher, of course.
And full disclosure, of course, I currently work for Devlin Robinson and used to work for Mike Fisher. So those are interesting things. You talked about Stacey Garrity, going across the state for the party, but also across political lines. I mean, when she was elected, of course, she beat an incumbent state treasurer, and she invited that incumbent.
Pretty darn good, by the way.
Pardon?
He was pretty darn good fella.
Yeah, and
Democrat.
And he spoke at her inauguration. That might be unprecedented. That she invited him to speak.
She also put him on some investment boards.
Right.
That you would you'd never see that happening. But he knows, this gentleman knew so much and knows so much about invested capital, etc. He had skills to bring, as he had as treasurer, to the state. Her win was an upset.
Yeah,
it was a humongous upset.
To beat, and that's even less common than almost less common than incumbent governors losing, to beat an incumbent row officer in Pennsylvania. The last one was Barbara Hafer in 1988 when she beat Don Bailey for Auditor General.
Out of Greensburg.
Yeah, a race I was the manager of at one point. So it's a small world, so we'll wait and see what happens next year.
Well, that year was interesting when Stacey wins, because the DeFore wins as Auditor General.
Right.
And Heather Heidelbach came real close to defeating Josh when he was up for re-elect as AG.
Right, and almost an impossible time to run in 2020. Yeah. During the pandemic, you couldn't do your standard campaigning. We were talking with Dick Jewell, political analyst and an extraordinary businessman locally here. Let me ask you, you brought up a topic here, now that we're on the topic of politics, as we promised our listeners we would. You talked a moment ago about running for lieutenant governor. Of course, when the president is nominated to run for president. He then picks his vice presidential candidate. They run as a ticket.
Right.
In Pennsylvania, someone running for governor in the primary might pick somebody, say, this is my running mate, but they're not on the same ticket. What is your thoughts on that? Should there's two options, of course. Should the lieutenant governor not run in the primary and just simply be picked by the governor as his running mate, his or her running mate, or should they run as a ticket in the primary? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think they should run as a ticket, as we do in the national contest for president and vice president. Having said that, I think what happens, and if you go back to Pete Flaherty versus Dick Thornburg, Flaherty's lieutenant governor, who he didn't pick, was a fellow by the name of Casey.
Right.
Well, why did that gentleman might have been a fine gentleman?
Bob Casey, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he, if I remember, he was a high school teacher who owned a ice cream parlor,
Dairy Queen,
in Squirrel Hill or something. Yeah.
Only geeks like you and me could remember that, right?
Right,
yeah.
right, exactly. So, but he had that magical name.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Flaherty and Casey, but that Casey didn't do Flaherty any good.
No.
And after the primary in 1978, we had two Pittsburghers running against each other, as we did with Corbett and Honorado.
Right.
So we didn't have to worry about the Philadelphia vote, just kind of for the hometown person. And so Flaherty was up by 31 points after the primary, and he managed to pull defeat out of the jaws of victory. And Dick Thornburg went on to win and went on to a historical life.
Right. And then 2 years later, of course, Pete Flaherty ran against my old boss, Arlen Specter, for U.S. Senate in 1980, and he lost that one as well. Yep. So when you say they should run as a ticket, do you think they should run as a ticket from the primary on? Or
oh, yeah.
Okay.
From absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think that's a good democratic approach.
Right. And then
now, as you know, they've tried to put a constitutional amendment into the '68 Constitution so that you have that ticket.
Right.
And they made some progress on it until about 2 years ago, and I think it's sort of just kind of sitting there flapping in the wind.
Yeah, that's
and we're still left with whoever wants to run for lieutenant governor.
Yeah, and it's happened over the years that not every governor and lieutenant governor serving together, frankly, got along well, let alone talked at times. You hear stories about Governor Bob Casey and Mark Single not getting along. You hear stories about Governor Rendell and Catherine Baker Noll as his lieutenant governor not talking for months at a time. So, yeah, I think you want to have a team together because just in the last 20, 30 years, you've had multiple times when the lieutenant governor has taken over, either temporarily or permanently for a governor who's moved.
Well, in Pennsylvania, you have an interesting situation, and that is, in a couple of instances in the last 30 years, the president pro tem of the Senate wound up as the lieutenant governor, and that person was from the other party.
Right.
So if the governor became deceased or was appointed and left, that'd be unusual under that scenario, but was deceased, you would have flipped parties in the governor's mansion without an election.
Right. It would have been right up there with Gerald Ford becoming president. Ever running. Archie Bunker once said he did a heck of a job for somebody nobody voted for back in the day. We're talking with Dick Jewell. We're going to take a break right now, folks. You're listening to the Afternoon Drive Show. We're with Dick up until our break right at the top of the hour, talking politics as promised. But first, we're going to take this break. Dick, stick around. You said you're available.
Okay, you bet.
Hey, we appreciate you joining us. This is the Afternoon Drive Show on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. Looking for the temperature right now, Nicholas. 85 degrees outside our Davis and Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. And feels more like it's in the low 90s.
Just updated at 79, cooling off a bit.
79. Oh, my gosh. It's practically I'm going to get a coat on to go outside. Exactly. Yeah. A shawl. I'll get a shawl. Stick around. We'll be right back.
For professional cleaning services, Clean and Shine in New Stanton is the place for you. They provide commercial and residential cleaning, porter services, carpet cleaning, stripping and waxing, construction cleanups, and car cleaning. For free estimates, call 724-691-0413, email info@cleanandshine14.org, or visit their website, cleanandshine14.org. We clean so you can shine.
Here's a business looking for a customer.
Hi there.
Here's a customer looking for a business.
Hi.
And that's where the Better Business Bureau comes in. The BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. That's why 2023 IABBB research found 80% of people choose BBB accredited businesses over non-accredited ones with the same A+ letter rating. Live happily, better after. Always look for the sign of a better business because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
WMBS.
Get ready, Mon Valley. The grand opening of C. Harper Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is happening Saturday, July 26th from 2 to 6 p.m., and you're invited. Come out for food trucks, giveaways, and a tour of our brand new state-of-the-art facility. Got a Jeep? Register for our Jeep show and show off your ride. Stick around because at 6 p.m. we're giving away a grand prize you won't want to miss. It's all happening at C. Harper Mon Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram right off Route 51 in Rostraver.
C. Harper, the best price every time, all the time. In 1986, the Firestone Insurance Agency in Normalville was started with a promise to provide clients with truthful, friendly, and courteous service. It worked. With an expanded client base, the Firestone Insurance Agency's customers are now able to choose from over 20 well-known insurance companies. So whether it be auto, home, business, or life, Firestone has you covered, and the promise to provide truthful, friendly, and courteous service is still in place. As an independent insurance agency, the Firestone Insurance Agency works for you. They do the shopping for you to save you time and a bunch of needless phone calls. Because let's face it, no one loves to shop for insurance. Call the office at 724-455-3900 or visit firestoneinsurance.net. Can't make it to Normalville? Let the Firestone Insurance Agency bring service right to your kitchen table. The Firestone Insurance Agency, 724-455-3900 or firestoneinsurance.net. Doing what is right for the customer, finding the most affordable rates while making sure there are no coverage gaps so you are fully protected from the unforeseen.
Your health is more than just how you feel today. It's about staying well for the years ahead. At WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital Primary Care, we're here to help you manage your health with regular checkups, screenings, and care that's tailored to you. With locations in Uniontown, Carmichaels, Connellsville, and Scottdale, it's easy to find care close to home. Visit wvumedicine.org/Uniontown today to find the primary care provider who is right for you.
WMBS.
That's Derek and the Dominoes bring us out of the break. Eric Clapton, of course, on guitars. That's one of the great guitar riffs ever. And as at the end of that song, you did it live one time, and somebody came on and said, "That's Eric Clapton on vocals." Well, forget the fact they had the greatest guitar riff ever. Yeah. But he sang the song as well. Joining us right now, still joining us, I should say, on the WMBS Newsmakers line here on the late edition of the Afternoon Drive Show, our good friend Dick Jewell. If you're just joining us, of course, Dick, long time involved in the political and business community here in southwestern Pennsylvania, known across the country, frankly. Former president of Grove City College, former member of the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. Last time he was coming on to talk politics with us, and I diverted us into another topic dealing with the Gaming Commission. So we promised to have him back right away because I got several emails and texts saying, "Hey, what happened to that discussion?" So we were talking a moment ago, Dick, and thanks again for sticking with us, about changing, how governors and lieutenant governors are elected in Pennsylvania. Frankly, it would be how lieutenant governors are elected. It's not a simple process. That would be a constitutional amendment, would it not?
Right, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it would take, that's not a simple process. The last constitutional convention in Pennsylvania was in 1968. A friend of mine's father served on that, Judge Francis Berry, who I'm sure you knew back in the day,
absolutely.
Who was a judge on the Common Pleas Court in Allegheny County, later was on the Commonwealth Court, and he was actually the delegate that suggested the creation of the Commonwealth Court in Pennsylvania, now one of course, the three statewide courts. It's so often those elections, they're in off years. They call them the odd-numbered years. They don't get as much attention. But also in Pennsylvania, the three row offices, Attorney General, Auditor General, and State Treasurer, run at the same time as a presidential race. I remember talking to Judge Berry once, and he said, in hindsight, we should have had those row offices running in those odd election years. It would have brought a lot more people out to vote in those local elections as well. What's your thoughts on that?
Yep, no, I agree. You can't foresee everything. Now, and the problem is when you can't foresee it, and then you do understand what the real implications are, It's a lot harder to change because you got to change a constitution, and constitutions are created to not be changed. Very difficult, as it should be.
Exactly.
So that the whims of the current whim of people can't be engrafted into a constitution, every other week. Nor should it. So, but yeah, that's what happens. The creation of Commonwealth Court. Commonwealth Court's actually my favorite court. It's the appellate court closest to people by far. The Superior Court does a lot of criminal appeals and things like that. We have a minority that are criminal, but everybody is a taxpayer. Everybody lives in a municipality, and there's can be real complexity in the application of local laws, and that's what the Commonwealth Court has to sort out.
Yeah.
And they also have original jurisdiction, so there are some areas where they can actually hold trials themselves, which you don't see in the Supreme or the Superior Court.
Right.
But it's my favorite court. Now, you might find yourself at 2 a.m, unable to sleep, and flipping the channels, and you'll see an argument in the Commonwealth Court on the application of the prevailing rates of pay on a sewer line, where the sewer. I've actually seen this. Where the sewer line goes under municipal property and then private property, and as soon as it does, it might change the rate of pay for who's ever doing the work. But I heard some very bright lawyers discussing the esoteric nature legally of those implications, and it was, as a lawyer myself, it was very interesting to hear. Probably boring to most people, but some of those are the kinds of things that Commonwealth Court has to deal with, and does.
And of course, before the Commonwealth Court existed, if someone had a situation with a state agency, it actually just simply went before the Common Pleas Court in Dauphin County, where Harrisburg is the county seat. That's where those those cases would go to, just because they had nowhere else to go.
Yep.
And
now, do you remember the two kind of interesting people that got very well known because of that '68 convention that came out of it? On fire, who was the leading Democrat and who was the leading Republican?
I'll let you answer that question because I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. The leading Democrat was a fellow named Milton Shapp.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And the leading Republican, lesser known than Mr. Shapp, but we'd hear a lot more about him in the future, Richard L. Thornburgh.
two future governors. And the first one, of course, whose real name was Shapiro. Milton Shapp's name was Shapiro. He changed it, of course, to run for office back in the day. So somebody said this is not the first Shapiro we've had as governor. But you're interesting, Milton Shapp, and of course then Dick Thornburgh replaced him in '78. Another race that my former boss ran in and lost the primary. Arlen Specter lost to Dick Thornburgh.
He just couldn't build momentum, but he was building speed.
Yeah, that's right.
And then finally got elected. I have an interesting story to tell you about Senator Fetterman. So, but by just circumstance, I wound up advising Governor Wolf, the Democratic governor, on higher education policy, especially monetary policy. And so I got to know Governor Wolf pretty well. Very interesting guy. He is actually more of a college professor than most people might think. He had a PhD from MIT, a master's in econ from the London School of Economics, and he was an undergrad in econ at Dartmouth. And he actually had an offer in the tenure track at Harvard in the government department after he finished at MIT, which he wanted to do, he told me, but his father begged him to come back to help him run the family business, which is, of course, where he made quite a bit of his money. But I think he wanted to take that tenure track at Harvard. So we're working on something one day, and he says, let me tell you about Fetterman. I hadn't asked, but he decided he was going to tell me about him. He said, he's just a big old teddy bear, he said. And, you know, although as a lieutenant governor, you kind of hew the line in what the governor's up to.
Oh, yeah.
He said, he's actually remarkably open-minded. That turned out to be a prescient comment.
That's for sure.
I would say.
I mean, right now, the most recent polling in Pennsylvania at times shows Republicans supporting Fetterman more than Democrats. So that's a rather interesting thing that a poll would show that he has more support among Republicans at this point than he does of Democrats. And his reelection's 4 years away, so he's got quite a while to wait.
Right.
Yeah, it's
that's
interesting.
been interesting, though.
I don't think in the history of Pennsylvania have they had a politician be so nationally known in such a very brief amount of time. I mean, how many U.S. lieutenant governors or senators in Pennsylvania have been on late night talk shows? That just doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
But it's been interesting, though, the backlash against him from the left. Because he's open-minded, as you mentioned. He has his own opinions on things. He's not afraid to give his opinions on things, especially when it comes to the situation with Israel. He's been a very strong proponent of Israel. And apparently in the presidential race last year had quite a bit of influence with Vice President Harris, Kamala Harris, as to who she would pick as her running mate. Apparently, he came out very strongly against Shapiro in that. So, he's had remarkable impact for a brief career at the state level.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very fascinating to watch and see what happens with him. Of course, he's not up for re-election. The U.S. Senate has 6-year terms. He's not up till 2028. So that's quite a ways away for him to come up, as we talk with Dick Jewell on all things politics today. And, of course, you were today with Pennsylvania's newest U.S. Senator, Dave McCormick. And, again, talking about unprecedented. I don't ever recall, even at the heights of John Hines and Arlen Specter and Dick Schweiker. And at one point, Pennsylvania had a U.S. Senator who was the Republican leader of the Senate. I don't think anybody's ever participated in an event that happened today like it did at Carnegie Mellon University.
Well, I agree with you. And it also really is beginning to show us the depth of skill, preparation, and incredible mind that Dave McCormick has, and he does. After West Point, he fought in Gulf War I and saw combat, and then after his 5 years military obligation, came back and he went to the Wilson School at Princeton, got his PhD in international relations, and then was brought back here to Pittsburgh with 3 other really top flight guys to McKinsey & Company, the fastest track in corporate consulting in the world.
Yeah, that's where I first met him when he was there.
Yeah, right, by far. And Steve Schwartzwalder brought him back. Stevie was not only a good friend of mine, but was I'm 80 years old now, and I put my way through law school and college by running swim clubs. I was a diver. That was my sport. And I taught Stevie and his brother to swim, and they were on my swim team at the Bar Hill Swim Club, as was some other, Mark Cuban, for example. I taught him to swim, and his brother. They lived right in the neighborhood. So it was an interesting group of young people that lived around that swim club back in the 60s, mid to late 60s.
that resume you talked about is not typical of when you think about a freshman senator, Undersecretary of Treasury for International Affairs, United States Deputy National Security Advisor, Undersecretary of Commerce. These are remarkable accomplishments, and then become a U.S. Senator.
Well, I had known him fairly well, and especially when he was with Glenn Meekum, when they both left McKinsey. Meekum first for free markets,
right,
and then went public, and then sold later on to Ariba. He ran Ariba, where he went into the to the Bush administration. But about a year and a half before, here's an interesting story I think you'll find. I was sitting around with 3 or 4 other folks that raise money and, like to help folks in governor races and Senate races. And we were talking about some of the potential candidates that were coming up for governor and Senate. And I said, you think we could get Dave McCormick to leave the private sector, come back to the public sector as governor? And the head snapped around. And they said, wow, we hadn't really thought about that. I said, well, let's call them up. So we did. And I wound up going up to Connecticut and had a 4-hour dinner, Mike Devaney and myself, 4-hour dinner with he and Dina to put the bee in their bonnet. Now, by that time, we realized the 7-year rule for governor. You have to live in the Commonwealth
continuously.
7 years. Right. It's been litigated, and if you're in the military or diplomatic corps, there's a way around it. But he'd been out of the state. He was born here, did a lot of work here, no question about it. But he'd been out of the state for more longer than that. So now the question was, would he be interested in running for the Senate? You had to think about that a little bit longer, to be candid with you. Not too much, but actually his skill base in international finance, private sector, and in geopolitics, working especially in the meltdown that happened in 2009, 2010, really is best used in the Senate. That experience and that intellect, when you think about it. And back when we had that meltdown, the Secretary of the Treasury and Timmy Geithner, who was running the Fed in New York, later became Mr. Obama's Secretary of the Treasury, and David, were the three guys. They had to do some non-Republican things in a couple areas, like TARP. They were the three guys that saved the capitalist system. And we came as close as you can imagine to losing the C word. That C word means confidence.
Right.
And when you lose that, Doug, that's when you and I go to our bank Monday morning and say, we'd like our money back. The bank says, well, no, we don't have it. It's out working. What do you mean? We want our money back. Now you got a big problem. That's why Roosevelt closed the banks after his inauguration for a week to reinstill confidence in Americans that they wouldn't do that. And the work of those three, and David was a leader, especially as the international finance minister, that's the term I'll use to describe his job, and was extraordinary. So about three months after he went up to Bridgeport, I brought him back to Grove City College to give the J. Howard Pugh Memorial Lecture. And I asked him to talk about the meltdown. It was the scariest lecture I've ever heard. The hair still is standing up on the back of my neck when I realized just how close we came to economic disaster, and how those gentlemen working with Mr. Bush, he had to okay a lot of stuff, were the ones in Bush's last 6 months of his administration that preserved capitalism as a very viable system of economics for the free world.
Yeah.
And he has to take a bow for that. Amazing.
Yeah. We were talking with Dick Jewell. Our second interview with Dick in the last couple of weeks, as we promised to have him back on, and I like to do things right away when we can. Dick, we appreciate your joining us today. The perfect opportunity to talk to you about today's event and out at CMU, which I've been heard being called unprecedented. As I mentioned earlier,
that's the right word.
Yeah, Rich Fitzgerald said he's never seen anything like it, and he'd been to a lot of those things on both sides of the aisle as well.
Sure.
And so this will be interesting. We appreciate your taking time to talk to us. As always, we appreciate your analysis on these situations. Thanks so much, Dick. As always, great.
Doug, thank you.
We gave a lot more time to talk last time.
I sure enjoyed working with you years ago with Arlen.
Yeah, that was. It's getting further and further away, unfortunately. I always joked with you that we ought to write a book about Arlen at some point.
What a very gifted guy Arlen Specter was.
Interesting stories. I always enjoy. I've interviewed over the years another employee of his, a guy named Ed Rendell, and we always joked about we were a lot taller and had full heads of hair before we went to work for Arlen Specter. We compared notes.
He also made Ed's wife, Midge, a Third Circuit judge.
Right, exactly.
So they had a great relationship.
So, Dick, thanks so much. You have a good evening.
Okay, Doug. Always a pleasure. Right.
Take care.
Bye.
We're going to take a break and wrap things up. It's the Afternoon Drive Show late edition, 79 degrees right now outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk. I'll be with you tomorrow as well, up until 8 o'clock. But Nick won't be here. It'll be Bill Madden will be across the way. But that's okay, Nick. You're working the early shift. You better get home and get to bed.
Absolutely.
All righty.
I need my rest.
Stick around.
It's that time. The 10 best days of summer at the Fayette County Fair. Buy advance tickets now, online or at an advance ticket location and save. The Ferris wheel, the merry-go-round, and more. It's fun for all ages. And don't forget your favorite fair foods, funnel cakes, corn dogs, and freshly squeezed lemonade. Plus tons of great entertainment. Check out the motocross, tractor pulls, demolition derbies, mud mania, monster trucks, even a rodeo. Or just kick back and listen to this year's great music. Buy your discounted tickets now through July 23rd to save big and see this year's concerts. A local favorite, the Clarks, the Little Mermen, the Ultimate Disney Tribute Band, Lee Greenwood, John Morgan, and more. All included in the ticket price. Save time and money. Buy your advance tickets now and save for the whole family. The Fayette County Fair, July 24th through August 2nd. For the full schedule of events and ticket information, visit FayetteFair.com.
Fayette County Fair, incredible fun for everyone.
Are you interested in earning your degree online or finishing your degree? Take your career to the next level at Salem University. Salem University offers more than 50 online degrees and certificate programs. Learn how you can advance your career with degrees in nursing, business, education, criminal justice, and IT. Salem has 4-week classes starting once a month. Contact Salem University by dialing 844-462-9128, option 1, or visit salemu.edu to see if you are eligible for our partnerships offering tuition scholarships.
Hey Pirates fans, Yinzer Palooza Weekend, presented by Mrs. T's, is back. And it's time to bring that 412 energy to PNC Park. Join us July 18th to the 20th as the Buccos take on the White Sox for a weekend full of Pittsburgh pride. The celebration kicks off Friday night with a post-game Zambelli fireworks show. On Saturday, we honor Pittsburgh's own Mac Miller. And Sunday wraps up the weekend with a special giveaway. Every kid in attendance will take home a Jalapeno Hannah plush. Grab your tickets now at pirates.com/YinzerPalooza.
Get ready, Mon Valley. The grand opening of C. Harper Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is happening Saturday, July 26th from 2 to 6 p.m., and you're invited. Come out for food trucks, giveaways, and a tour of our brand new state-of-the-art facility. Got a Jeep? Register for our Jeep show and show off your ride. Stick around because at 6 p.m. we're giving away a grand prize you won't want to miss. It's all happening at C. Harper Mon Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram right off Route 51 in Ross Draver.
See Harper, the best price every time, all the time.
All right, Nicholas, we've got the All-Star game tonight. Paul Skeens pitching again. A couple years ago, you figured there was a kid, like maybe a freshman or a sophomore in college, and he batted against Paul Skeens. And within a year's time, Paul Skeens was starting in the All-Star game. Now he's doing it 2 years in a row. First time ever.
It's the second All-Star start, and he's been in the big leagues about 14 months.
Right. It's not like he played a whole season last year.
May of last year he came up.
When did he come in? He came up in May?
May of last year.
Yeah. And then not only makes the All-Star game, but starts it.
Yeah, remarkable.
And now he's doing it again with a 4-8 record.
Yeah, I mean, remarkable. Good for him.
And that has nothing to do with him, for heaven's sakes.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, we hope good things for him. And, the second half of the season, it's a lost cause this year, I think, for your Pittsburgh Pirates. But, we'll see going down the stretch. You want to win as many games as you can and play for pride. So
we were down to, this sounds like an achievement for the Pirates. We were down to just 12 games under 500.
Oh, boy.
After that,
throw parade.
6 games. And of course, we shut out, the Pirates shut out the Cards in 3 games.
Yeah, they had a 6-game winning streak followed by an 8-game losing streak. They've lost 8 of 9.
We were 20 games out of first place.
The White Sox are coming
20
to town.
games out of under 500.
Well, your favorite team's coming to town this weekend, the White Sox.
The White Sox.
Who are a little better this year, a little better. The Rockies are the worst team in the league this year. Yeah. And if the Dodgers and Yankees win, it's the same thing every year. The teams with the most money win. The teams with the lesser payrolls lose. So that's Major League Baseball.
And they don't seem to care to make any...
no, of course not. They want Dodgers, Yankees in the World Series every year. It's good for business.
Any changes. So the Pirates right now have 39 wins.
Dreadful.
The Rockies, and that's horrible, 19 games out of 500.
That's bad.
The Rockies have 22 wins.
It's hard to be that bad. I mean, I'm thinking they have high school kids on the team.
So their percentage is 229. So I'm going to do something you hardly see on radio. I'm going to use a calculator. So we have 162 games, times .229. They are on a pace to win 37 games.
That's amazing. They're only on pace to win, 15 more games? You said they won 22?
They have 22 wins right now. They are on a pace to win 37 because their winning
historically
percentage
bad.
is .229.
Yeah, that's historically bad. So
yeah, that is.
It's almost Broncos season for everyone out in Denver. Don't worry.
That's unbelievable. That means you're losing 125 games.
That's a lot. It's a lot of losing.
Now, let's see. Where are we now with the White Sox, who are dreadfully awful? The White Sox have 32 wins, which is
wow. They're on fire.
A lot more,
yeah,
of course. But yeah, the Buccos, man, they were there. They 6 games in a row. Yeah, you weren't going to make the playoffs naturally, but maybe you could scratch close to 500, and then it tanked for 8 games.
Yeah,
but I guess they did win their last game before the break.
Thank God.
Yeah, that was. It's so frustrating, and I still listen to the games, and maybe that's the problem.
You're part of the problem, Doug. And also, we're late for the news. That's a problem.
Oh, that's a problem. CBS News on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. Talk to you tomorrow.
In the L.A. area, a month after they were deployed there by President Trump, CBS's Matt Piper with an update.
The Trump administration is releasing thousands